Yo, listen to this. Hands on.
ESL Pro League is brought to you in part by Intel, the City of Odense, GeForce GTX, Lenovo Legion, Bedway, Pay Safeguard, Logitech G, Mountain Dew League, Xfinity, and ESEA.
Teams, one shot at the Spare Chasm Finn Arena. That's where they're going to be playing, of course, over in good old sunny Odense, the home of all things technology. It is sure to be one hell of an event. But tonight, what it comes down to is actually qualifying. It is so wide open. Pretty much anyone can make it. Only 4 teams guaranteed. One of those, only a 96% chance of making it. There's still a tiny window that anything could happen. But I tell you what, let me pause right there, because before we get into the madness, before we break everything down, I want to talk to you about one thing, the opportunity for you to vote on your favorite player. Of course, PaySafe, they made that possible. You can go, of course, over to the PaySafe fan vote right on the bottom of your screen right there and basically choose who's performed the best. Was it simple? Was it electronic? You tell me. That said, back to the finals. You can win tickets. You can go. John, you're a man who wants to go to the finals. Tell them about it.
I mean, well, we don't even know who's going to be there yet, so I'm going to reserve my judgment. I mean,
anything. Come on.
I mean, it will be super fun. Obviously, yeah. Like all of these teams are going to be going best teams in the world. $1
million.
$1 million up for grabs, of course. Yeah. That's a cherry on the top of the cake. But it's still, these teams need to fight it out, and they need to get there.
Tell you what, John, though, let me just pause you real quick, because unfortunately, you could go to the finals, but you're going to have to buy yourself a ticket, because we're not going to give you one, unfortunately. It's just a bit of a tough leg. If you guys want to go to the finals, though, link at the bottom of your screen, you can win yourself a ticket. Go and join Tweeday and the folks, the wonderful folks, in fact, over at BetSafe and PaySafe Card. We completely butchered that, but it doesn't matter. Win yourself a ticket. We're going to pretend that didn't happen, aren't we, John?
What didn't happen?
Exactly. There we go. There we go. We've made a real mess of this, haven't we?
No, hang on a minute.
Well, I'm going to throw you under the bus as well. We're going to go to the table, of course, and you can explain to me exactly what is going on in European Pro League. Of course, Fnatic, North, Astralis, and FaZe all guaranteed, but NiP and G2, questions to be asked.
Yeah, so there's a lot to be played around the 5 to 8 range of this table. NiP and G2 sitting, as you can see, in that 5 and 6, currently looking good to go to those finals. They do have a strong sort of chance of actually winning that, but there is still the edge that can go through for both Hellraisers and EnVyUs. Hellraisers and EnVyUs, they both need to win their games 2-0 and with a massive round difference as well in order to make up those spots. But it's really gonna, it's kind of it's a tall order. Yeah, it's a tall order for them. So I'm imagining that the top 6 is going to be fairly rigid, with potential for upsets, but very, very unlikely. Now, where my interest lies is who's at the bottom of this table. It's really looking like Big at the moment. They're really going to struggle to get out of that spot. They're currently sat, I believe, on 23 points, and then you've got Na'Vi and Godsent on 25 points apiece. And yeah, Big playing against North as well. I don't think they're going to be able to get out that bottom spot. So I would hedge. Well, no, I wouldn't hedge. I'd bet that that they would be dropping out into the Mountain Dew League. But the other guys, they still have their work cut out for them.
Well, it may have been a messy start for us tonight, and I think that's certainly an understatement of the year. But the bracket also looking pretty messy, leading me to only one thing. Looking at this list, kind of what games are interesting to you? We've got a lot of CS being played, over 7 concurrent matches, the likes of Fnatic G2, North versus Big, FaZe, Na'Vi, Astralis, Mouse, NiP, EnVy, Hellraisers, Godsent, LDLC, Heroic.
So the 2 super important matches are Fnatic G2 and Ninjas in Pyjamas EnVyUs, which, funnily enough, are the 2 matches that are being covered on the main stream and over here on the second stream. If G2 manage to take a map, they solidify their position in the top 6 and qualify for the finals. Same for Ninjas in Pyjamas. Both of them, they just need to win 1. And they've pretty much guaranteed themselves that spot and have solidified that top of the table.
There we go, John. We're starting to get into the kind of well-oiled machine now because the standings and everything is all in front of your screen, of course. The two exciting games, they are the games being broadcast. The standings at the bottom are what really interests me, though, because, of course, 12 and 13, you're not out the sticks, but you're still playing for that shot in Pro League. You're in relegation, of course. You can keep the dream alive, play against the second and third team from Premier, which is looking like kind of the Virtus Pros or the AGO Gamings, potentially even like the likes of Frags as a Singularity. If you're 14th, if you were big currently, your dreams are done. You're going to Premier. Pretty much, yeah. You're sat at the bottom. You're against one of the top two teams, Fnatic and North, both on that 16-8 scoreline, and they're really going to struggle to get out of there. So I just think we're just going to see them drop. Unfortunate to see them go down, but well, they still have a little bit of swing left in them, maybe, but not too hopeful. Well, let's talk about NiP EnVy, of course. They are going to be the game that we witnessed tonight. Of course, two maps of absolute joy. I'm excited by the first, of course, NiP. I think when you look at those players, you look at the roster in general, I think NiP could put up a good fight, but then, of course, EnVy, they've been playing pretty well. I mean, the head-to-head matchup between these two teams is kind of a little bit messy. Again, the theme of tonight, so I think they're 6-6 currently. It really could go either. We've got some slightly odd maps as well. I mean, not odd, but it's the matchup is going to be on Train and Cobble, which are two of the sort of slightly left field maps. I mean, Train a little bit more has been. A lot of Train this week. Train has been picked up a lot more just in general in pro play. Yeah. Maybe they've figured it out. Maybe it's becoming a little bit more standard. But Cobble, I think, is still sort of a semi-outlier. Not quite as much as Nuke, but it's sort of getting towards the fringes of that map pool. It's funny you mentioned Nuke as well, because again, I feel like I've cast out a lot of Nuke this week. We've just been kind of a lot of very interesting stuff. I'll tell you what, across this evening, we have, I believe, 4 games of Cobble and 3 games of Nuke. Let's jump back to the other games this evening real quick then, of course. You mentioned the 2 games that are important, one on the mainstream, one over here, but any other outlier games that you kind of want to delve into? Kind of give you your kind of 2 minutes here. Well, LDLC, I think, and versus Heroic, which is I think they're sat in 10 and 11, if I'm not mistaken. That's really going to be crucial in terms of where they end up in the seeding and actually allowing those teams to jump out of that relegation position if they so choose. Yeah, you can see sat in 10 and 11. Na'Vi and Godsent going to be looking to leapfrog them in their matches. Versus FaZe for Na'Vi. And it's versus Hellraisers for Godsent. So for me, it feels like Godsent have a little bit of a better chance of leapfrogging out with that matchup. But LDLC and Heroic, that matchup's really going to decide where the bar is for them to jump. Be interesting to see if the dream scenario happens at EnVy. Of course, there's this current stat being kind of floating around that even I looked into it and I was kind of like, could this actually happen? Is the dream a reality? And to be honest, I'm not totally sure. I don't think a lot of people are. This takes some real number crunching. It's the same Mihaw's on a plane right now to Oakland, otherwise he better tell us. Basically, they are supposedly the only team across the entirety of Pro League that have a chance to either go to the finals or get relegated. Now, that's like, I think it's like a 3% chance or something. It's a crazy number, but what do you make of that? I think it's indicative of a league that has the sort of quality of all of these players being on a very similar level. I think it shows you how close this tournament is, that we can get to a stage right at the end where it comes down to the wire and a team can either make it or break it, literally. And it's really good Counter-Strike, I think. It's the result of really good Counter-Strike being played across all these matches. Or maybe just collaboratively really bad Counter-Strike, I don't know. I mean, we have seen some good CS, in fairness to you. I do understand your point, because you know, we've seen a lot of overtimes. That's been a big thing. And with the way the new point system works, of course, if you get yourself a win in OT, then that's an extra point for you, win 2 points. Whereas if you lose an OT, you still get yourself a point. So I think that's definitely helped, of course, round off the table a little bit more and make things a little bit closer kind of in the point department, because that's where the whole tiebreak and that shenanigans start, based on are you matching on points. But well, a couple of these deciding matches don't really matter if it's overtime. Ninjas in Pajamas, they can win either overtime or not. Yep. They'll be fine if they win a game. Doesn't matter which one it is. Speaking of winning, looks like there's a favored team, but not actually very heavily. That's a very close odd line. I think it's fair too. And I think it's fair. I mean, both of these teams, they've been showing that they can turn up on the day, and right now, even though you know it's online, but still, you do want to grab yourself that spot to a dance. Well, they have got themselves that close head-to-head rating, of course, and that is sure to build up quite the game. I think in terms of players who I'm looking to see step up, Draken definitely an indie comes to mind. Scream as well, Exist. I mean, all a few spotlights there. Draken for you, maybe? Yeah, why not? Yeah? Sure. Nothing there? No? Okay.
No.
Let's go away from that then. I mean, that would have been that was something I was looking forward to getting into, kind of spotlight players. I mean, I'll ask you this then, a prediction. You're going to give me that at least, or are you going to sit on the fence?
Oh, what, on this game?
Yeah.
So I've written down actually my predictions for every game
going
on tonight for the EU.
I'm curious.
So I have Fnatic G2 going 1-1. I think G2 are going to pull it out of the bag and secure themselves that spot in the top 6.
Fnatic have been doing a lot of surprises though. I mean, they upset FaZe recently, which is something.
Yeah, but maybe I'm backing my boys G2.
Okay.
Then we've got North versus Big, which I think is going to be an easy 2-0 for North.
Yeah.
FaZe versus Na'Vi, again, I think that's going to be a 2-0, barring massive performances coming in from the likes of Electronic. Then quickly to round it out, Astralis Mouse 2-0 I have to Astralis. NiP versus EnVy. I think this one's going to go even 1-1. Hellraisers versus Godsent 2-0. LDLC 1-1 versus Heroic.
Well, there you have it, folks. John Observes, the man himself, dropping you with the predictions there. EnVy versus NiP, kicking off now over on Train. Here we go. EnVy, of course, on that CT side, looking to hold down the back of the B site as Rez will deliver the early punching headshot. Happy, looking for something back, but the trades not coming up until Sixer steps into the spotlight. That's a kill for him and potentially more. As he climbs up on top of this white Train, tapping down Exist, but a kill does not come through. Happy and XMS having to go through blood, sweat, and tears to make it happen for these French boys. As Draken trying desperately to survive. Happy. Oh, cautious play. Forest getting aggressive through Connector, but it begins to fall away now as Draken is all that stands, and EnVy managed to dispatch of him.
Ninjas in Pajamas not quite able to clutch it out on towards the site. EnVy just sitting back, sitting passive, except for that weird push from Happy, who sort of almost bunny hopped down the ladder there and into the line of fire of a Glock, which fair enough, he should have gone down there. That was a bit of a weird.
They had to take the fight
play
at that point.
That's fine though. They knew they hadn't got the bomb down. EnVy really just played passive, and they just went for those headshots, managed to land them, and just pressure them out of the round. And it's a pretty standard CT pistol round on Train, but Ninjas in Pajamas picking up a couple of deagles. The CZ as well in the hands of Get Right. We'll be playing up towards those B halls, but it looks like they're going to be setting up more towards A. They have got that position towards Pop Dog, and they are starting to breach out of A main.
Yeah, it's mostly Forest looking to see if he can find himself that lucky Huandig, hoping desperately for it to almost land towards the back of alleyway. Scream actually peeking closer into the corner itself, but nothing being gifted over on towards this NiP lineup. As they just continue trying to play a bit of squeeze, damage finally being eked out, but Scream able to continue with the headshot. NiP in worse and worse stead as the game continues to take hold. Forest landing a quick shot, but it's not enough. The trades again really accelerating the round for EnVy. It's just like that, a 4v2 is born. An opportunity for NiP begins to rapidly dwindle away. I mean, look at the position of Scream. No matter what Get Right does here, there should be no win condition. Is there for a second like magic was going to happen, but no, RPK does clean house.
Speaking of player spotlights, I am going to have to go with Scream. I'll give you that.
There we go.
I've always admired. He's the one-tap legend, right? It's kind of his thing, right? And I think Envious are going to be relying on him to bring home the bacon. And he's already done so. 4 kills in the first 2 rounds. He's been a linchpin so far on these holds, but it's early days, early doors, and everything to play for. Ninjas in Pajamas this time. Full Glocks, full B site, rush B, don't stop.
Waiting for that information. RPK, Molly in hand, but drops to the frag grenade instead, which may actually do a fair chunk of damage to each and every player. But nothing will falter NiP. They will just wait for that Molly to fizzle on out, then make that push. The smoke actually making it always be delivered a few seconds earlier as Exist will jump on into his death. And RPK ready to feed the beast. The MP9 Deadly Poison about to unleash its venom all over its opposition, but then his teammates steal all the kills and there's no money for the SMG. I mean, that kind of sucks. I mean, it's $600 at the end of the day for a frag. He got himself 2. That's some good money, but potential for so much more.
Did get 2 kills with the SMG, so not all is lost. And the rest of his team obviously cleaning that up. Only losing, I think they lost 1 player on the push, if I'm right, or I might just be completely wrong. Actually, I think I am wrong. They didn't actually lose anyone in that round.
They spent a fair bit anyway, in reality, of course, on the EnVy side, just to make sure they had those 4 rifles, the EWP up on 6, utility all in check. I mean, it's a fully fledged buy from EnVy, no gambles with SMGs or anything really like that of the sort. For them, this is super important, and you can see that by Six's position. He's just going to be bearing in towards Ivy, hungry for that first pick. Trying to use that AWP to claw out that frag, but nothing being given to him just yet. Of course, NiP will be contesting it, but they've got a player over, so they'll use that to try and take advantage of Sixer. But by throwing that smoke, or Molly, sorry, kind of gives away the position. He'll just leave, and that chance to take down that AWP, well, it's gone.
Pushing in, Ninjas in Pyjamas have gained that ground, and as you said, they did zone away Sixer. He's been pushed all the way onto A site, and meanwhile, they actually have Forest out on site, but Scream on top of the train is going to open it up onto Exist. Forest pushing around the side, trying to get those picks. Not sure if Scream is aware of his position, but the push comes from EnVy. Sixer managed to pick up one and actually get right, trading it back onto Scream. Sixer fades away and is able to get away with his life and gets another kill onto Get Right. Forest on site gets tapped down. RPK, the one to do so. Now it's just Rez in a 1 versus 4 without the bomb. It's not looking so good for Ninjas in Pyjamas, but he lands the headshot.
Yeah, started off nice and strong, but also 35 seconds. That's just barely enough time. Should realistically be caught out no matter where he tries to go. And I think overall this round kind of summarizes that NiP just couldn't get anything done on those entry picks. By forcing back the AWP, they actually allowed it to do so much more damage being towards that bomb train because he has the flexibility. It just becomes tougher and tougher. Of course, Rez not going to go down without a fight, secures himself a second frag in the round. But he knows he's down and out for the count here. It's all about the exit frags because with 8 seconds on the clock, he doesn't grab the bomb and go be the hero. He just sits in the corner and walks away with that Sunny AK to that 5th round.
Looking to hold onto the rifle, but he did do a significant chunk of damage. They started this hold with 4 players, and they dropped 2 of those rifles. They do have the bank to deal with it, but Ninjas will be looking into that round number 5 to try and buy up and try and refrag and limit that economy. This is a crucial round in that sense. If they manage to get 2 frags, maybe even 3 in this round, will be a bit of a tall order with just the Glocks, but they do have that AK, remember. If they're able to limit the economy going into this round, and again in the next round, they could be in with the shot of taking that round home. Obviously, you see these sort of standard scorelines start to develop over the course of Counter-Strike. You've got the 3-0 start and then the 5-0 start. And it looks like Ninjas in Pyjamas are going to concede that 5-0 and then try and make it 5-1.
I mean, they did see the damage they did to EnVy's economy, though. They know 3 players are going to be around that kind of 3150 mark, which makes buying rifles a little bit more problematic on that CT side unless your teammates can drop you. So I think for NiP, one of the big successes of this tactical pause here is just to kind of rack their brains on where they think their opponents are at in terms of their economy, come up with a game plan of some variety, and then just attack at it. Whether it is going to be buying up some pistols, going for the force up, or even the half-buy play. Yeah, we see that here, for example, Rez, right? He buys the AK, commits to that, of course. Just all he needs is the utility. It's nothing too much. Has the pistols, of course, to join in with his team. They all buy to, I believe, around 2k. Well, I'd make the assumption there at least. That would make sense. And for NiP, it gives them a really good fighting chance to play around that saved AK. Rez the extra utility. I mean, it's a well thought out plan from NiP. It's just where they can actually enter down Ivy. They've got the problem of Sixer. They do deal with them 2 quick frags, but they still have more to do. Happy on the site, being that hard anchor, and nothing can stop him. There's 2 kills, going for a 3rd Rez. He's dead set to walk into that headshot angle as Forrest tries to contest the site, leaving Rez unhappy in a 1v1.
He has no idea where he is. He has to be very careful with his steps. I think he heard something, and that's going to be Rez coming out on top, and Ninjas in Pyjamas take the eco, well, semi-buy. That's going to put them at that 4-1 scoreline. Now, Envious, they've got a weird sort of economy here. Happy on that 7.3k. I mean, you can see he deserved that 7.3k, but he wasn't quite able to clutch it out in the end. Able to get 3 kills into the round, but he is just going to be left alone, and they opt actually to go for that force. I mean, if you're going to be down and out on your luck, you might as well chuckle your money into the ring and go for that sort of full save next round and buy up into the 3rd loss, but it's a little bit of a weird one that they didn't really expect to lose. I don't think we expected them to lose it either. The economy going to be sat sort of in a weird spot for them for at least this round and probably the next one. But Ninjas are sitting pretty with those full rifles and full pretty much anything they could want.
Yeah, right. Needing to be careful, but thankfully we'll check the corner. Should lead to an early frag, and just as that, it does. EnVy, of course, very little to play with here. Really banky on Scream and Happy. Getting some work in, and most importantly, the weapons that they're actually able to find being obtainable. It's all well and good, they pick off Exist, for example. If they can't get his AK, it does start to lose value. Of course, EnVy, 4 players, all with Kevlar, but make that 3 as Rez opens up on the B site. And they all begin to push on out. So much distance here for EnVy. Just adding a further problem. Sure, you got Happy on the AWP, but be the instigator all you want, but you should not be gifted pick after pick. This should be around lock and key for the Swedes.
Remember, of course, you do need a defuse kit, and they don't have one if you want to have that 5-second defuse time. And it looks like they're just going to take that to heart and fall off, try and save that AWP and the UMP as well. Wouldn't be too surprised if we saw XMS potentially going for a little bit more of an aggressive position, but he is actually just going to back up his friend Happy on that AWP, make sure they don't get their hands on that one, or don't take the EnVy's hands off it, more likely, because they do obviously already have their AWP. But they are just going to back off. Just go for the saves. Try and play a little bit passive. Ninjas will take the round 4-2. Now our scoreline, and EnVy have to decide where they want to go from here in terms of their economic situation.
A real tough spot for them, but they do still have those two weapons in play. Because the Kevlar and XMS should prompt everyone else to kind of join the party, just help balance things out a bit. For NiP, of course, this is pretty much their way back in, up to 4-3. Then an EnVy's fall by. Only then can they contest to deny NiP that 4-4 scoreline that they're desperately hunting for. For now, though, of course, it could still be fairly competitive. I mean, you've got these CZs who saw how devastating they were when wielded by these Swedes. Can the French flag swap it over? The answer so far looking like a swift no. As the trades all lead in favour of NiP. Xesh just going to be molling out towards heaven, make things a little bit tougher for Sixer. He's just tucked in behind this cardboard box, and he may well survive. That molly not quite spreading over.
Has got himself a little bit of ground to play with, but they have thinned the troops. The scoreline being reflected in the player count in the opposite direction. An A site will be the plant going forwards for Ninjas in Pyjamas, and I'm imagining we're just going to see another hold here. Happy playing passive over towards that CT spawn, back at B site, just doesn't even want to go anywhere near the opposing team. And Sixer actually managed to grab himself that AK as well from the push that that happened up towards, well, just the stairs down to B halls. And the fact that he's got that rifle is actually a really, really strong pickup for EnVy, because they will be getting their loss bonus from this round. They will be able to push forwards and actually have a very strong strong buy into this round, it seems. But Ninjas in Pyjamas still saving those 4 rifles, so they are a force to be reckoned with.
Going to be curious to see kind of how things play out now for EnVy. The opportunity, of course, to go for that double AWP setup as a Rose. Sixer making me think that he's interested in it. Not because of how long he's taken to buy now, but what he did in the previous round by not investing anything when the rest of his team bought light CZs and such. And that pays off here. He can get the Kevlar, also get a smoke to back it. And there will be that second AWP to head over towards Ivy, leaving a little bit more flexibility for Happy to go and do his thing over on towards B.
This is a fast, aggressive push-up from EnVy on the A-bomb site, something we haven't seen before, and it's going to pay off straight away. Scream, able to get the spray down, opening the frags in the rifle round. A very crucial linchpin of both of these teams' game plans for this first half, and EnVy already have the advantage. Weren't able to push out a pop dog because of that smoke being in the way, and it's going to mean that Draken wasn't able to get the refrag onto Scream, but he's going to try and go for it now. Turns and peeks out onto A site, but everyone's just biding their time. I think he saw the barrel of the gun and just shot a bullet down there, but didn't manage to connect on anything. Sixer looking for the shots. He knows someone's there. He did see the barrel peek around the corner earlier, so he's very aware of that position. As the rest of his team's starting to flank on towards A site through A main, you've got Exist on the front line, looking to try and challenge Screen there on the side of the trains. They just need to execute.
Problem they've got is they've got the utility, but they're not even setting up before they execute. They're just taking in these contact duels. EnVy should have all the information. They don't know how far up Exist has actually got, so it will kind of depend on him getting that first pick. But already Sixer putting in the work, that AWE picking up that kill. Scream taking down Exist is just almost around crumbling before it even gets going. Draken holding desperately for a pick, but knows he has to get aggressive, but can't see a thing. His timings are all off. It's just falling to pieces. Sixer, a frag on get right. Draken trying to survive, but he's in a 1v5 play. Gets himself 2 quick frags. 3 more up against him. 15 seconds. The man is on a mission to save. That's all he can obtain here. 8 seconds left, not being hunted. Should be an AWP for NiP in that 9th round, but it will not be going 4-4. EnVy securing their 5th.
A very strong round for EnVy to pick up. That means that Ninjas in Pyjamas, whilst they do have that economy to buy into this round, this is going to be probably one of the... Sorry, EnVy versus Ninjas in Pyjamas. That's the game we're playing, or watching.
What was frustrating there was, unfortunately for Draken, was they had the game plan where they sent him into pop and wanted him to look over the smoke and basically get that early pick towards anyone playing on top of the trains. But because EnVy adopted the close setup, they chose to smoke it off as well, which meant that one way no longer functioned. So he was completely zoned off. You've got 2 players in pop, basically wasted. So he was left towards the latter end of the round. And EnVy took so much control of the back of that. They were able to take down Scream, and everything just kind of fell into play from there. They held all the information, and NiP just had nothing really to work with. This is different. They get themselves picked. Draken and Rez both starting strong. Get right on Scream. Looking so much better. Only 2 players stand. Waving that EnVy flag. XMS trying to instigate a bit of a fight, but he's being pushed on down. Given a 1v1, risky business. Holds it down, but gets flanked from behind. Rez denying the multi-kill from XMS as he only gets 2. A third would have been very likely.
Happy playing on towards that B site. I'm imagining we're just going to see that extra save there. And Ninjas in Pyjamas with a commanding presence towards EnVy there. That really sort of opened up the rest of the map. And obviously the pick from a main, or from Draken on that AWP, meant that the rest of that A site wasn't able to rotate in and deal with that threat. And what that allowed Ninjas in Pyjamas to do was just completely flank on that site, leaving Happy alone on that B site as well after Rez got the frag over towards B halls. It was pretty much done and dusted at that point. Happy's never going to be going for that retake, not in a million years. Just saving that AWP. They do need every penny they can get, but Ninjas in Pyjamas again look set to take this round home. They have got those 3 players alive, so pretty much where you want to be sat on save at the end of a round. 3 players is an admirable number. It's pretty much, it's the basic, like, you need at least 3 players to make it work for you on that economic save, but they put 4 rounds up on the board, and they are just going to be able to buy up the rest of those rifles. Team Envious, not so lucky. They do have the AWP on Happy, who, as we've seen, is pretty threatening. They could run into a little bit of resistance, but only a CZ and a Deagle being picked up for RPK and XMS, respectively. Yeah,
because of 3 players saving the NiP, they just don't see the force up as a worthwhile strategy. They are just going to back down here, basically just use this AWP and a few pistols dotted with Kevlar to try and find any opportunity that comes their way, but they know full well the odds are pretty damn slim. I mean, RPK, given a small chance, I mean, 3 HP for Exist is actually relatively low, all things considered, but a frag is a frag. It does go to the way of the Swedes. And they're making things a little bit problematic now towards this B site, as the bomb, of course, has been planted. And already you can see EnVy just shifting the whole map towards defending this AWP.
It's their pride and joy. They need to keep it on into the next round, because if they didn't, if it was dropped, they wouldn't be able to afford an AWP into the next round. So keeping hold of that, much more valuable than trying to get those exit frags and drop the weapons from NiP. Even if they drop the NiP weapons, NiP do have the bankroll just to buy them back up again, so it won't necessarily have as much impact whilst limiting the economy. It's kind of the 2 sides of the coin, right? You need to make sure you're going for what's best. But Scream will land the headshot with the Deagle and actually pick himself up an AK. So that's, again, that all the better. And they actually, they do take 1 for 1. They take a rifle out of the hands of Ninjas in Pyjamas, but the rifle and the AK being saved up, it is going to allow Envious to just go for this full buy completely across the board. All of them just picking up whatever they so choose. Sixer, you couldn't have bought an AWP there. I think he was on 4,600. So yeah, he's just bought up that M4. Going for that solo AWP setup. Happy potentially playing a little bit better over towards EnVy, but a missed shot from Draken allows Ninjas in Pyjamas to back him up onto site.
XMS going to be looking to cut him down as he tries to rotate in towards T-Con, but the opportunity does not arise. Draken playing around the back of the smoke as Scream meanwhile does tap on towards Exist. Smoke soon to fade. Scream still hungry for that second shot. A lot of time here, of course. NiP changing the way they play. All towards Ivy, leaving just Rez towards the tip of Pop. Scream will be contesting that angle. Just waiting for a head to fall on in. Problem he's got to be cautious about T-Con too, of course. He does have a teammate there around the back of Green Train, that being XMS, but it's tough.
Tell you what is tough, getting around this corner with Happy's crosshairs trained all the way on it, but he's going to fall back. Get right pushes now, they've completely left the A site open, but Sixer up on high could find himself with a smorgasbord of Ninjas in Pyjamas. Trying to land the shots, able to get one, turns it on for a second as well, tries to go for the third, and he's spraying it down. That is 3 kills for the hold on Envious. Rez trying to get one, does manage it, but Scream takes care of that one really quickly, and that Ivy push completely shut down by Sixer.
Disappointing play. The way they approached that Ivy push was the whole argument of just 1 by 1. What happens when you push 1 by 1 in CSGO? Well, unless someone gets that headshot, 1 by 1 you fall. Really is that all, that's all that comes to mind. I mean, they just died. Gave so many chances for EnVy to repeak after repeak. The molly did stop the AWP from kind of adding any presence into the round, but you're looking at Sixer, a guy who is able to anchor those positions. Has done in the past and will continue to do it now.
On that double AWP setup as well. Managed to grab himself an AWP and pop himself back over towards Ivy. But Ninjas in Pyjamas have learnt their lesson. They are not going to be going for that aggression. RPK drops the Incendiary down at the bottom of the ramp and falls back with a disciplined rotate. Calling over some backup as well from that A site. The bomb over towards B halls. It looks like Ninjas are relatively committed to B site at this point. The utility being thrown out. They are just closing down all of those angles, trying to push from 2 fronts, but they've got 3 players onto site to deal with.
For NiP right now, they know they've been able to rotate at least 1 player at minimum because of the white train molly. They know that player on site is going to be calling for support, which is exactly what RPK did. He dragged on over the likes of Happy to come and join him, and also the addition of Scream. The thing for NiP now is you've used a lot of your utility. You're left with only 1 smoke and a molly, and the rest is all flashbangs or frag grenades, which is no impact in an execute really, aside from getting a good pop flash to actually enter onto the site itself. So they're left in a bit of a tough spot. I mean, for EnVy, they've mostly stood their ground. Sure, Scream is now left connected to go back up towards his A push for information. You're seeing the contact being made by Draka to try and kind of bait that out. But you've still got 2 players on the B side. RPK starting strong, does get the kill. Happy holding off the cross. Frag after frag for him. The frag grenade on the site going to be doing even more. Now just get hungry with his P250. Both these players could fall with just a singular shot, and that's what he's been able to achieve. Get right, flanked him from behind. EnVy, a good round, a good defuse. It'll be 7-5 for them.
Very nice retake there, and as you said, the lack of utility came to bite them. And they just weren't able to cover off those post-plant angles. They weren't able to get in under any cover. They just weren't able to do anything on that B site after that initial sort of attempt and just complete
basically
failure.
the de facto double fake, right? They threw all the utility, they tried to pull someone over them, they used Draken to try and make a lot of noise everyone towards A, thinking that would rotate the players back. But once Happy arrived at that site with the AWP, he was not leaving. He was just going to chill the entire round because that little kind of seed of doubt had already been planted. So, because the CT site kept 2 players there, he then entered a mix RPK getting that first frag, which is a crucial role when you're that first point of contact on a site. It just puts all the pieces in play for a successful hold, and then also the retake as well.
That's the thing. Once you've used all your utility, you put it down to a coin flip as to who gets the entry frag, and if you're able to get into those post-plant positions fast enough. Well, if you get shut down 1, even 2 of your players on that first push with no utility, that's pretty much the round over.
That's what counts. It's the whole idea of how many players die on that push. And the fact that RPK got a kill made that whole round doable. Everything fell into place from there. But nonetheless, round 13 is where we are currently at. 7-5, of course, is the scoreline. The pause, once again, has taken hold. And here we are back live. 5 AKs up against a double setup. Sixer trying to work his way into a frag Ivy. Draken getting dangerously close to this box. And he peeks out. But Sixer, premature, will have to back away now.
Drops the flash, pops it away, back onto the site, but he's going to go for the re-peek. Flashbang in response. Sorry, that's the smoke, and the Molotov trying to zone him out, and he's going to take the damage, try and land the late peek, but he isn't going to find anything. Taken down to 36 HP, but over in Pop Dog. 2 headshots line themselves up nicely, and Sixer finally managed to capitalize on his position as well. Forest, finally able to trade the kill back on towards EnVy, but seems a little bit too little too late. So they only have 2 players left alive, and when one of them's on 1 HP and the other one has XMS shooting in the back, that round's not going to last too long at all. 8 rounds to 5, Team EnVyUs storm into the lead.
The likelihood now of a 10-5 will come down to 1 buy. This is 14th round, should realistically be a bit of a whitewash. NiP only have pistols to be dispatched of. Sure, some of them are upgraded to the good old Fantival CZs and such, but that really is all there is to it. I mean, you've got Kevlar and Get Right, sure, but that is literally the only talking point by the smoke and flash. That looks like a deep sandwich smoke that's been thrown, just to stand off the cuff, line up off the wall, goes on over. Helps with the likes of XMS, but nothing going to stop Nick Sixer, who, sure, he's got an AWP, but the Molly already doing pretty good damage as is. He gets the re-peek out, find himself pick after pick. They're playing off of each other, that being Happy and Sixer, of course. You've got Scream. Could be a bit of a ruckus towards the back of these trains. Ultimately leading to the expected result.
Yeah, can't get the drop on Scream. He's just going to whip around and shoot you in the face. It's not going to go well for you. Finding bullets in your skull, I feel like, it really puts a downer on anyone's day.
I feel like generally, yeah.
If I was to wake up with a bullet in my face, I'd be like, no, I'm just going back to sleep.
Honestly, not sure where you're going with this, but I think we've got one clear-cut conclusion, which is if you wake up with a bullet in your face, yes, it's not been a good day.
That was always, didn't really need to be a conclusion. That was the predicate, surely. That was the
premise. I'm a little worried about where this is leading, to be honest.
It doesn't matter where it's leading. We're having a fun conversation. That's the point, right?
About bullets in people's heads.
Yeah, well, Scream seems to be doing a good job of it. He's been holding down that
12-3 right now, I think. So, I mean, I'm a fan.
As I said, play a highlight, Scream with those headshots.
Yeah.
keeps coming through. And I want to highlight Sixer as well. I mean, we saw that triple spray down as well from the top of the train. And again, even though they're pushing him straight in his face with pistols, he's disciplined. He falls back, he drops that incendiary grenade, falls back around the corner, waits for them to push on, and then goes for those peeks. He managed to pick himself up 2 kills on that as well. He's just been so crucial towards that Ivy position. Scream as well, backing him up on the A site. They are a force to be reckoned with, and Ninjas need
to kind of go in here before the push comes in. Happy was actually the player 12-3. I mentioned that stat line. Putting in work with the AWP, which I think is pretty crucial for them. Of course, NiP now looking to make this last buy count. The final hurrah. Rez was able to secure that early pick. Happy being shut down by Rez as well as the second kill does come through. And we're looking at a bit of a fiasco for EnVy as they got stuck with each other in connector. Deep smokes coming in, flashbangs all being thrown, but players all struggling to get out. Sixer finally begins to gain some ground, but Draken is just going to be in there causing such a problem with the AK, but XMS winning that duel. Okay, this shifts things now. It all comes down to Draken. I mean, those duels on the site are going to be interesting. Rez does have a melee to act as insurance. But if Draken gets taken down, then you never know what could happen as Scream just duel off against Get Right. XMS going to be getting straight on towards the bomb. He's holding it, the volley arrives, and Rez, thankfully, will peek along with it.
He did need to stick that one. It was the last round, so I mean, you're not the last round of the half, so you're not going to be getting too much more. But speaking of the end of the half, we are going to be going to a short break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back on Train with NiP and EnVy.
Folks, welcome back to EnVy versus NiP. The scoreline is 9-6. If you have just joined us, and it really is a firecracker of night of all things ESL Pro League, so much on the line. As I see a smoke, I like that smoke. Deep connector, of course, coming out from that T side as they look to set themselves up for this B fate play. But aggression comes in from Rez, and after dead giveaway, a lot of damage being laid out, but most importantly, he spotted them.
Spotted out the squad. Envious have to fall back off that one. They can't go for the fast push onto B anymore. Potentially looking to rotate, and that's exactly what they're going to do. Draken takes face over towards Pop Dog and tries to go for the shots, but RPK will shut him down, but Forrest isn't done. He is able to get 2 before being shut down by Sixer, and he is on a rampage as well. It keeps going, 2 for 2 for 2. And Team Envious come out on top with the 3-man advantage over the 2 of Ninjas in Pajamas. The bomb getting planted. They do still have Rez having that CZ as well, which is a very, very impactful kind of gun, as we see. Landing the headshot onto XMS. Exist as well with the USP jumping on with the Kevlar, trying It's best to find those angles, find those players, but Happy is just going to need 2 bullets to take down Rez. Trying to find the rest on towards Exist, and he lands it right between the eyes. Envious take the first round of the half.
Crucial question here. What did Happy eat for breakfast this morning? Because whatever he's had, I want a bit more of that the next time I pug on ESCA. 14-4, great start from him, but it's also the impact he's having there. I mean, that's such a big double kill to find with the P250.
Ooh, look at that. Sixer on 18 kills. He's been having a lot of impact for his team, and I mean, it's reflected in the scoreline. 10-6, they win the pistol round. They're going to be expecting to win this one, and Mac 10s abound for Team Envious.
Waiting closely. That's the mission statement of these pistols. Lurk in the shadows. Catch your opponent by surprise. Sneak in the frag, and from there, try and put a bit of a smash and grab on the weapon itself. Problem is, all is not what it seems. EnVy, they know your game plan. They know where you're hiding. And so far, so good. As they take down Exist. Draken tucked in the corner here. Could well be a bit of an interesting one, but we saw that checked nearly every round in the previous half.
Ooh. There's Get Right. Actually manages to get the frag over up the ladder on Pop Dog towards Happy. Has to drop back down, but he's picked himself up a Mac 10. Not the most impactful. I mean, there's a reason you buy these Mac 10s on these sort of counter or anti-eco rounds. They don't do so much damage against unarmored opponents, but they can still do a lot of damage. But Forest doing even more.
Very nice. Chiming in, of course, with Rez. Back-to-back to Eagle shots coming on through. But will lose his life. Rez being still extra spicy. Quick shot to the head of Scream. Just leaves Sixer. Now, a very tough position. 30 seconds, of course, to work with. The bomb on his back.
Smart.
If he gets away, that's a big win. They have no idea. Draken finally should realize as the bomb does get planted. This buys crucial 5-6 seconds, though, for Sixer to basically set himself up in a good afterplant spot. Draken does pick up a Galil, but no Kevlar still. That aim punch going to be brutal.
Does need to find the challenges, though. First of all, Sixer behind the crate will spot him out. He is going to be able to spray down one. Now, 1 versus 1 on the whole. Draken having that Galil does give him a little bit of pressure. Doesn't have a kit, so he does need to go relatively quickly here. So Sixer's going to drop both of those flashes, leave himself with nothing but the Mac 10, and Draken's actually going to be able to land the headshot, and I think he has time for defuse. Ninjas in pajamas. Well, a solid round there. Oh, no. Oh, no. It's down to the wire. Whether or not he gets it. It's going to go white, but will he defuse? There it goes. So close. And Ninjas in pajamas take a very, very important round.
A sloppy round as well from EnVy.
Yeah.
I mean, why face at the end there? 0.05 seconds, Sixer. That's all you needed to do was kill off another 0.05 seconds. But you took the fight.
Took the fight. With a Mac 10 versus a Galil, nonetheless, as well, at range. I mean, it's one of those sort of mistakes that you don't sort of see yourself making, and then afterwards you're like, what is going on?
It's a super simple thing, but it's something that's always going to be the kicker in a lot of those scenarios. But we have to wipe it away and accept it is what it is. EnVy still, of course, going to come back swinging Scream, instigating an early fight down on towards B as he did pick off the likes of Draken. More to be done, of course, over on this A site now. Smokes and flashes all be blooming, all be popping. Things that are explosive for Get Right. As RPK will take his head right off. Forest starting to do its own work. Scream flicking back to Exist. Things are falling to pieces for NiP. That is going to be painful for their economy.
It's going to be painful for more than their economy. It's going to be painful for each of these players. They just came off the win. They needed that morale push to go into this round and really take it home. Because Envious obviously having that lead, Ninjas in Pajamas needed to come back into this one. They needed to win inch by inch, and they just lost more than probably more than a yard in this metaphor. If we're keeping going with it, which I think we shouldn't. I think we'll leave it there.
Oh god, where are we now? I have no idea. But EnVy, they're a team that we should move on to continue talking about. They are sat on their 11th. They're looking for their 12th. That should be fairly easy. Their only opposition, just some USPs. John, then the last time you saw some USPs win this round, because I would argue probably like what 6 months ago or something. It's mad. You just never see it. It's so rare. I
think this P2000 is going to come in crucial. Rez picking that one up is going to be...
You would say that, wouldn't you? You would.
I mean...
I'm disappointed.
I mean, it's obvious, right? When you look at it. I mean, the stats don't lie. It's 2000 is bigger than 250. Or, like, which so means it's better than the P250. And the USP doesn't even have a number. Like,
infallible logic.
It's... bigger numbers is bigger, better, right?
Well, let's see if
Turn into Donald Trump.
Going to be shocked there by some USPs. Delivering the miracle round for NiP. So they do have to try and tap for those double headshots. So far, so good, of course. They were able to take down Happy. The B site, though, has been completely overwhelmed. These rifles get themselves in every little nook and cranny, the bomb being planted. Leaving it with 5 players alive and the chance to play for any exit picks. Starks to fall away, though, as, of course, Draken will lose his head to the likes of Scream.
Going to be trying to push in. They do have that Galil, which proved fatal against them earlier on, as we saw that round. That really shouldn't have gone over to Ninjas in Pyjamas. But it looks like they're just going to hold on to it. They're going to save it up into the next round. I don't think they're going to be able to buy up into it or around it. I imagine we'll see a semi-buy. Deagles, maybe a CZs being picked up, but for the most part, it's just going to be relying on that Galil. 7 HP left on Exist. He will survive with that USP. Obviously, very important that you save the USP. A very valuable weapon, indeed.
Oh,
okay?
I'm all right. I'm good. I'm good.
Oh, Max 7. Forest is going to be able to pick up the mythical shotgun, playing up close, trying to jump around those corners, land those jump-in headshots. See if he can do so. He is pushed up close towards Pop Dog and could find himself some enemies to fight, but Sixer is on top of that one. Forest does go down, pushes out onto site. Sixer still yet to fall. And there's going to be Exist to chime in with 2, and Get Right finds 1 as well, and all of a sudden, Envious have no players to push into the site with. There's Rez on the flank, able to shut it down completely. And Ninjas in Pyjamas with a flurry of kills very quickly, just shut him down.
Yeah, played it perfectly, of course, adjusting to the molly that came in Train Stopper. Basically meant that EnVy couldn't shut down any of that kind of backside presence towards either Bomb Train or towards the Ivy side of things. And we saw peak after peak, and ultimately the whole objective NiP there was to buy time per res anyway, coming in on that big flank. And everything just paid off for them. It was a very well-played round, thought out, of course, by that CT side. It does make this game a little bit closer now, 12 to 8, of course, 1 round. Shifting where NiP stand in what was originally quite a shaken economy.
Was it stirred?
You went there. Of course you went there.
What's wrong with that? Don't know what you're talking about.
That's a classic.
Is it? Okay.
Sixer.
Well,
I'm curious to see if he can find this first pick. That's really going to be what holds me over for now. Of course, Get Right playing relatively far back. XMS being gifted the chance to get out and towards the site itself. Scream will secure that first pick on Get Right. So will be a quick switch back from Rez. Molly still holding them over on the site, stopping Scream from planting up until now. About 15 seconds that NiP can work with to get themselves in a more comfortable retake position. A good flash. Sixer actually missing a shot. But look at XMS. His position is so unparamount right now. The value he will have as they push on up. He can just get himself to the side of yellow, but no, Exist. Checks his corner. Scream trying to step up, but it will not happen. Forest diving around with his trusty UMP. Happy has the molly, and that's pretty much what locks it around. Forest, no smoke in sight. We'll just throw a flash and wait and hope.
Oh,
Buddy,
no.
it's not happening. Just run away, Forest. Take the AK. Sixer, maybe a target you can have. 14 HP after all. Draken actually going to take down Happy, so even better. But it will still be EnVy in their 13th.
Ooh. They actually managed to all of EnVyUs go down, so they don't save any rifles into the next round. They will have to rebuy completely, and as you can see, they're not in the strongest economic economic position. They are going to have to chuck it. I imagine we might see an AWP being picked up, but I think it's more likely that we're going to see AKs being dropped over to some of their allies so that they can actually have that full suite of utility across the board, rather than going for a UMP buy on a couple of their players or something like that. Although, you are going to be playing against EnVyUs, who of course coming off that loss. They did save up the AWP as well, so they do have a little bit more strength. I believe they're going to be going for a full rifle round, if I'm not mistaken, which I very might be, if that's a phrase. I don't even know anymore. Yeah, but they're going to be picking up those rifles across the board, or trying to, on Ninjas in Pyjamas, is what I'm getting at. Or EnVyUs even. Oh god, this is not going well.
So, let me break it down.
That was a terrible segment.
It's all good. I got you here, right? So, EnVy, because of the losses they took in the previous round, does mean that they can get a fair bit up, but the utility is going to be a little bit whack. That's added to by XMS, of course. He doesn't opt for the weapon, instead goes for a little bit more the molly smoke flash combo. Happy, of course, getting a smoke up as well. Leads them up to what could be a crafted 4-piece from EnVy in terms of the execute. NiP, meanwhile, much better stead. They've got all the utility, all the trimmings. They've got the AWP too, which is going to be their opener. Draken, though, a lot quieter than I really hoped. Do want to kind of see if NiP can revitalize him a little bit more. We'll have to see how that plays out.
Ooh, Forest. Not quite revitalizing Happy there, as he is going to be the one to shut him down. Envious have got that position up towards EnVy. They have a little bit of aggression going on there, and the flash going to blind them, but not stunt their aggression. Both Lurk players are going to be meeting as well. Get Right will have spotted out that nade flying across, but RPK is just going to back off. Dragon still holding face on towards the EnVy players. There's that three-man stack there as RPK tries and pushes in from Popdog, but it's just going to get shut down. Sixer finds one, Scream chimes in as well, but now it's just Sixer left on site, and Draken's going to make short work with that. Ninjas in Pajamas hold strong, hold fast, and put themselves on a 13-9 scoreline.
Yeah, Forest doing a good job of starting their round nice and strong, and that kind of put the pieces in play for NiP. I think the position as well from Get Right in upper B just meant they had all the information on what was coming towards that A side. Of course, spotting that smoke and then seeing no presence off the back of it means that it's a simple call that it's a fake.
The economy on Envious completely down on their luck. They will just be forcing up pistols and a little bit of armor as well on Scream and Happy. They're going to try and go for a fast play here. They have been slowed down a little bit by the incendiary and the utility coming out, so they are actually going to have to be forced onto a little bit more of a passive, slow stance that they're not too sort of enamored with. And Get Right's going to capitalize. RPK does go down, and with every passing second, it seems like more damage going over onto the Envious squad from long-range shots coming out from Ninjas in Pajamas. Happy finally getting a kill, but Exist has the answer.
Still playing towards the back of Trainstar, of course. Just going to be checking off any aggression that could come his way from the likes of T-Con or even Popdog. They are going to be hungry for some information. I mean, they have no real idea what EnVy are going to be up to. I think Rez will play a little bit more passively now. Just aware of the fact that B-play likely could come in. I think it's nice that Forest has kind of arrived to support him as well. It means that they can just look towards both inner and upper together. You have to bear in mind, EnVy, all three players excruciatingly low. 24 HP, 11 HP, and 42 HP on Scream. The contact play towards B really shouldn't work until Scream lands that. Unbelievable. The Deagle opens up the round. The bomb could well be planted now. Rez trying to shut that down, does secure the kill, but no, the bomb is going to go down. Happy. Well played. Sneaking it in, which even if NiP are able to then deal with them, that's still a good win for EnVy here.
Yeah, so they do get dealt with, and relatively quickly. I mean, it was only a matter of time on that retake. Ninjas in Pajamas will be taking that round as well, once they find the bomb, that is, and actually defuse it. There you go. Good job, Rez. But yeah, so they're going to be jumping themselves into double digits. 10 rounds on the board. Envious, having Ninjas in Pajamas chomping at your heels isn't really the sort of situation you want to be, and you do want to extend your lead. And remember, Envious, they are not in that top 6 position. They need massive round differences if they want to be going and putting themselves up in those top 6. And right now, 13-10, that's not a big round difference at all. They need more than this.
Points are pretty good too.
Pardon?
Above all else, points.
Yes, exactly.
Desperately need those points. You know, going to OT, there could be value in that for them. They're trying to secure those 2 points from getting the win, of course, but even then giving a point to NiP could be just as dangerous.
Yeah, I think it is the case that if Envious lose this map or a map in this series, they can't make it to the top 6. And on the flip side, if NiP win a map in this series, they are guaranteed to be in top 6. So this, in a way, is really going to decide the rest of the field, because you've got G2 playing against Fnatic. Obviously, we don't have live updates on the scoreline, but
bear with me on that.
Are they?
Bear with me on that. We'll try and get some information on those games so you guys at home. In the meantime, though, we're back, of course, with EnVy. The pistols on play. They're going to be basically half buying to a certain extent here, just trying to do some damage. Most of them are around the kind of 3 to 4K markers. So they could definitely afford a little bit of flexibility offered by that money. Still likely a very tough round, though, for them to actually win.
Forest didn't manage to spot anyone over towards Popdog, but Rez with that nade, we've seen him do so much damage before with it, but he's just going to fall back. Not able to loose HE. is able to get away with his life, which is, by all accounts, slightly more important. Utility being chucked on towards the B site. EnVy go for the breach, but Get Right's ready. He has one kill, Rez has the other, and turns around for find a second. And that is going to be 2 players left for EnVy, and not really a speck of damage even going on to Ninjas in Pyjamas. Get Right on 80 HP, but that's really sort of nothing to be worried about, especially when you're coming up against a Glock and a Deagle. Either there's not enough to do from the Glock, or there's a headshot from the Deagle, so it wouldn't matter anyway. And Scream is going to show us just how important that is. Just 6 are left, is going to get shut down with the USP. So a pistol round trade-off ending that round. 11 rounds now for Ninjas in Pyjamas.
Right before this buy comes in and we get into this, let me just break down the scores for you real quick of what's going on across the rest of Pro League. Of course, FaZe versus Na'Vi. FaZe 14-6 right now. G2 Fnatic 15-9 up. Heroic LDLC on 13 in comparison to Heroic's 8. A few more games going on, but we'll get into them in just a second as we have ourselves a buy round, of course, with EnVy and NiP. And this one is surely going to be interesting, just based on the fact that EnVy are going for 5 rifles now. There is no AWP. They're definitely curious to see kind of how that changes their dynamic as a team and what the options are going to be. Of course, RPK already playing with Happy just to clear out B, make sure there is no lurking presence towards that upper side. Towards the rest of the team, towards the likes of T-Con, there's some smoke lineups there as well. Flashes to allow him to take pop control. Forest holding it very nicely though. Gets one, not only that, gets a second as well.
Can't see the wood for the trees. Forest will see plenty of T's, and I'll shut them down straight away as they drop on through. Just leaving Sixer on his own, and he will get shut down. Exist is the one to do so, and Ninjas in Pyjamas are really bringing their A game right now to try and come back into this one.
To jump back to the score update, Godsent versus Hellraisers. Hellraisers on 13-8 right now. NiP, well, we don't need to go into that one. You can see it right in front of you. North versus Big. They won the first map 16-8. That was Cobblestone, of course. Mouse, Australis 13-5.
So hang on a minute. Have we got the North Big game? Did you say
the North Big game? North took it 16-8.
Okay, yeah. So that's pretty much solidified Big at the bottom of the table. I mean, their matchup against North had really kind of solidified that for me, but it's just sort of edging ever closer. Do we have? Is the second match started? Do we know?
I will have a scroll for you right now. Bear with me. Doesn't seem so.
In the meantime, it looks like Fnatic will beat out G2 now. That again was another one of the crucial matches that we had pegged, and that's the one that is on the mainstream currently. Meaning that if G2 don't win and Hellraisers or EnVy are able to push those scorelines to a favorable position, they could find themselves jumping up. But at the moment, what was the Hellraiser scoreline?
13-8 in favor of Hellraisers.
So even that, they do need a little bit more of that round difference to come in and work for them. But you never know. Anything can happen. It's early days, and certainly early days in this round, as Draken's going to open it up.
Yeah, just going to be dealing with these pistols. They try and get up towards Ivy. There's 2. Can he go for a third? Exist says, buddy, you know what? I could do with a kill. I need the stat right now. Just let me dispatch of that real quick, as he will find the kill. That does leave EnVy in this sour spot, of course. Just 2 pistols up against a very stacked NiP side. We should be finding ourselves in a very even game of CS, and I think that really sums up this evening. Everything is so down to competitive. You said yourself at the start of the night, the Pro League in general has been super competitive. This may have been one of our most competitive Pro Leagues to date, and I think that's shown by the 13-13 here. I think that's shown by the scorelines between the likes of Godsent, Hellraisers. Hellraisers leading away against Godsent is good in itself. LDLC doing well against Heroic. I mean, that's 14-8. Great games all around.
Yeah, it's kind of a golden season, really, for the Pro League. Across all of these games, I mean, you see obviously all this argument about LAN and online tournaments. So far it's all been online, but it's still just been such a good quality tournament coming through. A couple of slip-ups here and there from a couple of the teams, but a fast play coming out from EnVy on towards the A site, potentially.
Really important now for EnVy to finally pick up some momentum again, dropping the last few rounds, eking in a few on their T side in general, really, but NiP seem much more awake and ready to stir the pot as they've been able to bring it back to even Stevens. Draken, of course, going for that first pick. A shot not going to connect, but he can throw the re-smoke there, and that pushes EnVy back. Waste some time.
That's all you need to do. You Ninjas in Pyjamas, you need to force their hand, make them commit to a site and stack all your players in resistance. Seems to be working out well for them so far. And Ivy, they've really actually clamped down on Ivy. Ninjas in Pyjamas have started being able to just completely hold that. I don't think we've seen one successful push in the last sort of 8 rounds or so in this half coming along Ivy for EnVy, and they really have their number there. maybe look at trying going for some slightly different plays if they can get past Forest on the site, and they do just that. They manage to get the frag. That opens up a whole host of opportunity.
Draken has to be so careful. He's always close to these rifles that will push on in, but tries to play the distance card. Exist going to be playing through the smoke. That's a frag for him, Draken. Doing the work towards the back of Bomb Tray, leaving Sixer to try and make it a 2 versus 1. Actually just going to go straight for the plant. He's like, you know what, screw it. I got balls of steel. I'll happily go for it. Jump peek after jump peek. Scream towards the back of Green. Not going to even face off against Exist. Will just drop the flash instead and continue to walk his way up towards T-Con. The shot from Draken, claiming the life of Sixer, starts to make things just that little bit tougher now for Scream. With the bomb ticks, he lacks so much information here. Should now know where both those players are. Draken baiting the defuse, given a 1v1, the spray comes in. Draken, he's sticky at Scream. Draken lets off, goes for the flick, but straight back on the defuse.
They're going to take the round. Ninjas in pajamas put themselves on 14 rounds, and envious as well off the back of that loss. They're going to be able to have one more round in them. If they take the loss here, that's pretty much curtains for them. They won't be able to buy up into the next round. Actually, no, I tell a lie. There's a bit of economy backing them on Scream and Sixer, so they'll have a decent shout. No, they just haven't bought yet.
And stuff too.
They just hadn't bought yet. They do have loss bonus coming in, but it won't be that sort of fully kitted out buy that they're going to want to play, which does give Ninjas in Pajamas the driving seat here. They're opting to go for the single AWP setup, chucking that over onto Draken, so impactful over towards Banana and on the A site. We saw Happy do it in the first half. He's trying to be impactful on the A site again, and he does land the headshot, but gets traded out pretty quickly there by Exist.
Yeah, such a good early frag for Exist to fight, and Pitts was not only back to a 4v4, but that kill pretty much halters this entire A play. It leaves 2 players stuck towards B, 2 players over towards A. That bomb trying to rotate over, and the impact of this T side now taking this B site still becomes quite important. But Forest was hoping he would get a kill on the rotate, but unable to catch anyone at all, even get right. A much more sour spot now, having to do it all himself. Him falling off, that's an incredible read. Scream, still hunting, desperately pushing it up. Spots out Exist, but the kill is claimed. Sixer.
Wow.
Doming the head of Exist brings us right back full circle to 14-14.
That is, well, as I said, that was a crucial round that NVS needed to pick up in terms of their economy. If they'd have lost that, it would have been map point for Ninjas in Pajamas, and they would have been able to take it home here. But as it stands, we go into another full rifle round to decide who gets this map point. It is 100% going to be going to full 30 rounds in this game, potentially even going to that overtime scoreline. Now, if it does go to overtime, Ninjas in Pajamas aren't too worried. They just need a win. It doesn't matter if it's overtime. It doesn't matter how they get it. It could be, 500 to whatever the other overtime score would be at that range, but it doesn't matter. But what does matter is that they have already taken an early lead. Rez able to get the first frag onto XMS as they try and cross, and look at the damage as well onto RPK. Landing the leg shot through his ally means that they have a very, very difficult time pushing onto this B site.
Smokes all being lined up. One to go between every train practically. Rez, another kill from him. Get right, swinging out nice and wide. The Molly just holding back Scream and Sixer, containing them towards inner, until they eventually have to go one by one. The same old storyline coming back to haunt EnVy. There's 5 players stand off against 1 man. Scream, the guy who's dropped 30 for EnVy. But how much more can he do?
Well, he needs to do 5 more. To be specific, he needs at least 5 more. In this round he needs 5. And then in the next rounds, he needs probably a few more, but the rest of his team will be in the next round. Well, I hope they will. I mean, unless they sort of full on just leave, I don't know. They might just be doing whatever. Scream, you can see he did hear out the player coming from Popdog, and the flashbang trying to bait out the flank. And it is actually going to allow Exist to push out through Popdog on the top of it, but he is just going to win the trade. Scream not able to pick that one up, and Ninjas in Pajamas put themselves in the lead. 15 rounds poised to take the victory.
That may well have been the killing blow as well to EnVy. I mean, you just look at what they've got. Because they won that round, I mean, Jakey points it out so perfectly, actually, really wanting to highlight that one round that they picked up on that T side. And he's got a big reason to that, and that's just the idea that all that loss bonus, it's gone. There's nothing there to help inflate the money you've picked up. You've been fully fledged reset. Again, you tried to eke out everything you could in the previous round. It didn't go to plan, and you leave yourself with what? Their money, basically, what is SMGs at the moment? I think, at a push.
I believe so. I mean, well, they're just going to be chucking everything they can.
Yeah, it's
they're not going to be able to buy up fully. I imagine there's plenty of AKs, so I don't think we're going to be seeing head armor. And as you rightly say, I think SMGs are on the cards. But that utility, I think, is going to be even more important than even getting those SMGs on board. And yeah, a couple of pistols are going to be brought out from EnVy, just so they can have that full suite of smokes and the ability to try and go for these strats, because you can have all the guns in the world, but if they can see you the whole time without any smokes, without any utility, there's really nothing you can do about it. And, well, Scream has actually managed to find himself fast onto the B site. He's managed to get all the way up in their faces already. And he has a brilliant position. The bomb gets planted almost instantly, and EnVy rapid onto the B site. Not even a frag going across yet.
How has this happened? I have no idea. But what this is a test of the spirit of NiP. Can they actually put together a retake of some sort? I mean, RPK went for an aggressive push. Nothing was done. Happy. A huge flank. But that flash may mean they're aware of what's coming. The first kill comes through, taps for a second, but it falls away from him. 6 are now on the site. Gonna have to try and fill his boots, but this is tough. The AWP coming face first. Sixer picks it up. This could be it. He could make this happen. No. A huge shot to the head of Rez. Has he bought enough time? He may well have made it happen. Sixer carrying this game single-handedly with the EWP to overtime. Absolutely incredible.
Sixer, my man, what a performance. That was absolutely incredible to see. And
the no-scope of his life.
That was the no-scope of EnVy's life. And their tournament life as well. They will be, I'm pretty sure at this point, solidified to be in that middle bracket. They won't be able to slip down. I think with that 1 point guaranteed, they won't be able to do so.
Absolutely, man.
Wow.
You know, sometimes you sit there and you think, I wish I could replay that moment.
Yeah.
Those scenarios right there are the moments where you just want to see, it back, because that shot, it was quite something. I love it. I really do. Just flicked up, went for the no-scope, and I mean, that's what, yeah. Criminal production. They take the subtle hits perfectly. Well done, boys.
Wasn't very subtle.
I want to see how this. Look at that.
That was. Oh, so it was a quick scope. It wasn't a no scope.
So good though.
That was incredible. The fact that he was able to drop down off the bomb car after getting the headshot with the CZ into the smoke.
It's that extra second.
Disappearing. That extra fraction of a second of the frag onto the player who was defusing the bomb, able to stall it out just long enough. If he'd have been able to stick the bomb, if that no scope hadn't have landed, they would have been able to defuse there. I'm pretty sure. With the timings going slightly awry. But as it stands, we go into our first overtime here. EnVy versus Ninjas in Pajamas, and EnVy are not giving up the ghost just yet.
Really quite the magical game, of course. I'm going to take this opportunity to have another look at the ongoing scores throughout tonight's ESL Pro League extravaganza. I mean, there's like 7 games on, so I guess that's justified. Of course, Heroic LDLC 14-12. Heroic bringing it back.
We should call it the Thunderdome or some other.
Come up with a really dramatic name for it, I'm sure.
Original name.
What's interesting is these, outside of this game, Heroic is the only other game being played right now. Map 2 for every other team is pretty much setting itself up, so we'll have to hop onto those in just a second. In the meantime, of course, overtime gets itself ready to start. EnVy versus NiP. I'm really intrigued to see what EnVy will change.
It's kind of weird. I mean, I had predicted a 1-1. I just want to put that out there. A 1-1. So I think this is the map that EnVy are going to be able to pick up. If it of the two, I think this is EnVy's shout here. If they take the loss here, their morale is going to be hit more than anything, and they're really going to sort of, I'd not say struggle necessarily, but it's difficult to come back from that sort of a situation. You know, you put your heart and soul, you drive it to overtime, you really trying to get that win, you grit your teeth and you push and you lose. And that is, you know, such a demoralizing feeling. These players obviously will be having the best of the best help to try and get through it, but you know, you can't, you can never really sort of account for the whole thing. And whoever comes out on top of this, I think, might be able to just snowball that victory into the second map, but that remains to be seen because they do still need to first win this one.
Early flash is all taking form. The push comes in towards B, but Get Right is going to solidify that first kill. Second kill, not so concrete. Happy though with his feet. Oh, they are being nipped at. 9 HP is what he'll walk away on. The AWP, a big part of EnVy's play, already so damn low. Of course, the rest of his team all putting the pressure down towards Ivy. Happy, still lurking for that opportunity. And because he tries to dip in for that frag, that's where he gets punished. Meets his maker, and it leaves EnVy in even more of a sour spot now. Only 3 players remain. You've got Draken in the 6er spot, as we'll call it. Pete comes in, and he's left with nothing. Nothing to fight for. XMS just try and save the AWP. I mean, you've got 17 seconds. It's valuable to save it.
Yes, it's valuable to save it, but
I mean,
it's
what
overtime.
else is he going to do?
You've got 16k, right, at the start of the half.
I don't think if it doesn't matter. I mean, he's got 6 seconds to kill. You know, look for a kill.
Exactly, he's got 6 seconds to kill. Try and do some damage to the enemy team, maybe. Try and go a little bit aggressive. It's not the end of the world if you lose that AWP. Obviously, you do start with 16k in these overtimes. So they're just going to be able to buy up pretty much every round anyway. You can alternate who buys the AWP just to allow for just complete flexibility across the board. But Ninjas in Pyjamas do take the first round of overtime. They will be looking to take this one home. Looking for that 19 scoreline. The score required, obviously, 6 rounds in overtime. For anyone who is unaware, is how many you need. 3 and 3 are the halves, and you do need to pick up that 19th victory point against your enemy.
Right. Look at him go. I mean, he's aware that EnVy are throwing all these early A smokes, so wants the aggression towards B to try and spot out what's going on. Rez playing with him leads to the early kill. RPK does butt heads close range, just at the tip of the smoke, so it leads to at least a plentiful trade, I think you could argue, for EnVy. Problem is, they use so much of the util to get that fake down on A. What have they gained from it? I mean, Happy's position here, I don't think you can argue you gain that from those smokes. That's just the fact that he's in T-Con, you can walk there so comfortably. So a real problem takes hold for this French team, because for NiP, they have the mollies, they have the smokes. Sure, it's all on Draken mostly, but there's so much value in what he can do from that position. He's quite flexible as well. We saw how much Draken moves in regulatory time.
They still have to choose where they want to go. Happy's managed to find himself all the way onto the bomb site, but Draken is able to shut that one down. The AWP lands beautifully. Happy does fall, and they have no option here but to go for this B site. Tate Forest will be lying in wait up close, or just land the headshot, turn it on, try and find a second, but Sixer has a Draken staring down the barrel of an AWP, and Ninjas in Pyjamas take a second round in this overtime, putting 17 up on the board. And with a little bit of momentum to carry them forwards, it was looking pretty hopeful for them.
What was good there is I talked about Draken and his mobility.
Ooh.
You see it there from the fact he's on bomb train, rotates from EnVy just to bomb train, and just watches all those possible little rotations. And those little nuances in play leads to that kill, and every kill has so much value in OT. I mean, we can ooh and ah at players beyond 7 frags, but I think at the end of the day for EnVy, they got to 15-15. So, you know, if he steps up, that definitely could play a part in EnVy being able to walk it over the edge. But they did get to 15-15, so I definitely think there's credit on other players who are really putting in the work. I mean, Scream a good example of that. He was on 30 kills before we even reached OT.
Yeah, he was a massive performer for them, and they're going to be happy with that performance. But Rez already has a kill into this round, and once more, Ninjas in Pyjamas just take the lead early on. That cross has proved so fatal for them time and time again. Their close-up AWP shots just completely decimating them. Just over and over again. It's not.
It's the AWPs in general on the CT side. They've been struggling now, kind of within these last 3 rounds or so, to get to grips with that from NiP. Forest putting in work as well. Draken that second pick. Forest just tapping away, dismissing his opposition with ease. As XFS will find his way in, an opportunity to go for a quick meander up Ivy. And actually knows the position of Forest, and that leads to a kill. So making it to a 1v2. The AWP gives him the gift of get right. Now it's all on Rez. Oh, timing though. Rez, where are you looking, buddy?
Ooh, so close. That was nearly the save from XMS. As we said, 7 frags, but he can still do stuff like that. It's far from over.
Well, an opportunity at least for EnVy to sit back, relax for a second, figure out what the game plan is going to be going forward.
Try and win. That's the game plan.
I think, yeah, that's a given, but overall what happened there in that first half was that NiP ran at them with these AWPs in terms of his double AWP setup. They changed a fair few positions, but also they just took a lot more duels. The aggression we saw towards Ivy and towards that early B ramp just led to basically NiP getting the consistent kill at the start of the round. And because they got that 1 kill, that's an advantage that you saw EnVy really struggle to sway.
And on constant rifle rounds as well, it's so impactful because you lose that power. And on a pistol round, it's not so much of a problem because you can go for these sort of weird rotations and weird flanks and get those double kills that you wouldn't necessarily be able to do on a round like this against a team with full utility and everything. In rifle rounds, getting that early pick is far more important than on any other sort of a round. Anti-ecos, whatever, it's these rifle rounds that count. And Draken from Ninjas in Pyjamas will close out 1. Happy, able to trade it back for 2.
How is he still alive?
He is finally taken down, and now it's just RPK.
Oh, that is frustrating to witness at times. Finally shut down RPK, the only man remaining, and he'll be dealt with. Mad. Honestly, a mad game. I think that's the only way I can sum that one up, but NiP, they played it perfectly in OT. They pushed it over the edge flawlessly, in fact.
Yeah. Well, that is going to be NiP taking the victory, and that means they have solidified themselves in the top 6. So they are going to be joining, I think it's, what is it, Fnatic, North, FaZe, and Astralis as the guaranteed progressors on towards that top 6 final in Odense.
I'm actually really excited to see how Odense plays out, of course. The 12 best teams across Pro League all battling their way there for a chance of a $1 million playing in the Sverkassen Finn Arena. But before we get into more details of that, let's take a look at some of the crucial moments of this game. I think we're going to be seeing a lot of AWP playing here, a few triple kills from... so we'll still talk about Sixer's triple kill here. Just the way he locks it down as they come pushing up through Ivy. I mean, EnVy, they did have control of the game for a fair bit, but I do think there's one big shot that comes into play. What took it to OT? I mean, that's going to be quite an emotional shot. Yeah,
Sixer's flick with the AWP was so crucial in order to sort of secure that. But after that, Ninjas in Pajamas were like, oh yeah, guys, we're playing Counter-Strike, remember? And they were like, oh yeah, cool. And they did actually manage to get that one through. So Ninjas in Pajamas take the victory here, but we do have some other results across the board. We've got Fnatic going 16-9 versus G2. We've got North 16-8 versus Big. FaZe 16-6 versus Na'Vi. It's a countdown. Astralis 16-5 versus Mouse. And then we break the trend with Hellraisers versus Godsend 16-8 to Hellraisers. And Heroic LDLC still yet to be decided.
I think that's gone to OT.
I believe so. I mean, it must have done, if it's on a similar time frame.
I'm assuming it has. The last time we checked into it, we saw Heroic, of course, bringing it back from something like a 14-6, if I recall, or a 12-6, sorry, and then they actually were putting in pretty good work, and they were up to 9, so definitely curious to see what the scoreline is, of course, between Heroic and LDLC, so we'll have to wait for some news on that one. But just looking down this list of results you've got in front of you, anything that sticks out, I think for me, it's good to see Fnatic getting that 69. Fnatic, again, of course, starting to get more consistent results, especially with the win against FaZe recently. I think that really helped kind of validate Fnatic a whole lot more.
Yeah. They've really been just putting in the work. I mean, no one's really sort of paying attention to them in the context of this tournament, but in general, they did have a little bit of a slump. They did have a little bit of time.
There's a lot that was going on around Fnatic, in fairness, right?
Yeah.
So roster changes and such.
Yeah,
so.
They've had a little bit of a, as I say, a little bit of a slump. They've had a little bit of underperforming going on, but I'm hopeful they're back to form. I've been a long-standing fan. They're one of the longest-standing orgs going on, and just in general across different games as well, not just Counter-Strike. And I've been following their progression for a couple of years. They've got some nice stuff going on, but the rest of these teams, they have been putting in the work as well. I mean, we've seen North draw even on them on that top score table, and obviously they beat Big and just trying to get that round difference back. I don't think that's going to really go for a switch. I think the round difference is just enough between the two that it's kind of solidified.
Let's take a look at the standings table in just a second, but before that comes up, Na'Vi, I think it's an unfortunate result for them. 6 rounds is, I kind of hope for a little bit more.
And Mouse as well, 5 rounds.
Yeah. But anyway, the standings. So let's see if your theories are correct. I mean, looking at some of those round difference numbers
aren't updated, I believe. Yeah,
but we can do some.
Yes, we can work it out.
We can do some napkin math. I know it's what you're a connoisseur of all that. So.
Oh right. Okay. So Fnatic will be on. Oh, we don't have the points on here either.
That's unfortunate.
That is unfortunate because it means we can't actually figure.
Has just dawned on me.
Don't have the points on here, but I believe it was Fnatic North were even on points at the top, and both had taken that win. And the round difference you can see is going to mean that Fnatic will just be still sat at the top, and North will just be bringing up in that second place. Astralis taking that 16-5 will mean that they are up to a 16-9 scoreline, jumping on the heels of those 17-8 scorelines from both Fnatic and North. So I believe that first 3 is really going to be pretty solid. FaZe as well, doing the same thing. Not much movement there, but Ninjas in Pajamas solidifying their position now. 15-10 on the board. That's all they needed, those 15 wins. And the points, I did look earlier and I did double check on the point score, but I can't remember off the top of my head what they're at. They had 40 points. I can remember off the top of my head.
There we go.
They had 40 points, which was, with an overtime win, will put them up to 42 points and allow them that solid spot being collected. And then I believe we got G2 on 38 points. Now I'm really stretching my memory capacity at this stage. They are on 39 because They lost, so they were on 39 before.
Yep.
So that was a one-off, I'll take that. But they do need to try and get that win into the next round if they want to be in with a chance of going for it. But what really matters is the performance of Hellraisers and EnVyUs.
Yeah.
EnVyUs.
I mean, that 16-8, I think, for Hellraisers is already a pretty
That's
exciting
doomed
thing
them.
for me.
That's doomed them, I'm pretty sure.
You think?
Oh, sorry, no. The other way around. 16-8 for Hellraisers. They do still need a significant difference in round score to be able to overtake G2, even if they're able to sort of close it out. If G2 are able to pick up a win, that will solidify them, but there's still this sort of little bit of discrepancy between these two. I mean, as we said, Fnatic really starting to pick up their game, so G2 have their work cut out.
Well, folks, what we are going to do now is we're going to head to hopefully what will be a very short break. Of course, if you want some information, want to know pretty much exactly what's going on throughout the entire ESL Pro League sphere, then head on over to, of course, the ESL Pro League portal. You can find it by pretty much just typing in ESLCS on Google or on Twitter. The information is all pretty much right there for you, served up on a silver platter. But in the meantime, we are going to be heading to a short break. We're back with you when every game is completed for the second map between these two teams.
ESL Pro League is brought to you in part by Intel, the City of Odense, GeForce GTX, Lenovo Legion, Bedway, Pay Safeguard, Logitech G, Mountain Dew League, Xfinity, and ESEA.
Game, record, and stream without compromise on Intel Core i7.
Today, we will crown a champion. It's a championship inside Smoke! That's a quad kill, and that's going to be it! What a performance! Oh my goodness! They want the trophy and they've got it! This is what grand finals are about. This is why we love Counter-Strike.
Be focused. Be uncompromising. Be the best and never hold out. Pick your event. Place your bet. No matter who you are or what you're here for, it's our passion that unites us. Betway, for the love of the game.
spotted dick.
It could be quite obvious what it is, I guess.
Sounds like spotting a good friend of mine, catching up with him or saying hi or anything like that.
You see a douchebag somewhere and hey, you spotted that dick, you know, I don't know.
A dick that is spotted, maybe.
Maybe if you like see a thief or something.
Maybe you spot a dick in the woods and that's a dick spot. I spotted that dick, I don't know.
It actually means pudding, or it's like some pudding, English pudding. So English people love to eat spotted dick. Second.
Hey, sure, sounds great.
I don't know if I want to Google it.
Toad in the hole.
Candy bar or something like that.
I don't know, some jelly? I don't Hey James, bring me the toad in the hole. Sure, Daddy. Yeah, I don't know.
I think it's something you eat. When I go to a restaurant, I want to order some toads in the holes.
Maybe you grill a frog and put in a bowl or something.
If you do something but it goes wrong. We were practicing last night, but we got a toad in the hole.
It is a food, so I mean you're on the right tracks, but it's actually sausages in a Yorkshire pudding.
I will try one.
Yes.
Dog's bullocks.
Okay, I think I know this one. Bollocks is balls, I know that. So dog's balls. That dog has huge bollocks over there.
Yeah, it sounds like bullshit, you know. If someone says like that, it's like you're talking bullshit.
Maybe it's like a swear word, something you say if you hurt your hand or something.
Yeah, I got it right. I'm pretty sure. No?
The word bollocks means kind of bullshit, but then when we use the expression dog's bollocks, you're like, that's the dog's bollocks. That's really good, that's the dog's bollocks.
All right.
Welcome back to ESL Pro League. You're joining us, of course, on the European B stream. However, this is much more of a conference stream than anything else, as we are going to be updating you on everything that goes on throughout the night. Of course, another 7 matches to go. On your screen, it is going to be the NiP EnVy matchup. However, NiP, they're already secured their journey to Odense. So this night now, much more looking towards the other teams. Of course, EnVy, still something up for grabs for them, potentially.
Yeah,
I need to do some napkin math there to confirm that, but
pretty much. I mean, I don't think they can make it to the top 6 at this stage.
Yeah.
But they could still be looking to hop over. I know they're sat just below Hellraisers at the moment, aren't they?
I believe so.
And they are looking to hop over. Obviously, Hellraisers did get the win, 16-8 versus Godsend. So if they are able to pick up, if EnVy are able to pick up this map with a decent scoreline, there is a bit of a difference between the two. They could be looking to take that sort of higher seed.
Interesting how the odds have somewhat shifted. Only minor shifts, but still shifts nonetheless.
Yeah, it's more in the favour of Ninjas in Pyjamas. We saw earlier today it was slightly more even and balanced. I mean, it is still very even and balanced here, but Ninjas in Pyjamas taking a little bit more of a favour going into this second match. Obviously, off the back of losing or winning that first one, sorry, they've instilled confidence in the betters.
I like that. I like that a lot. Instilling confidence. It's a good saying, but Cobblestone, of course, is going to be that we head to. I mean, in comparison to Train, I think they are going to be two very different maps. Still a lot of pressure, of course, on those AWPers to perform. I mean, you've got mid, you've got B-Plat. I think B-Plat is always going to be a big thing just on how quickly the teams can get there. Anything that stings out for you?
Not really. I mean, you just have to play it standard. It's really going to be a case of, I think Ninjas in Pyjamas are going to have the edge here. I'm going with Betway and with.
Do you imagine it'll be demotivated EnVy because they know that they can no longer make it? It's all about just keeping that kind of top spot. And
that's the thing.
As long as they're mid-pack, they're staying in Pro
I mean,
League, so.
this is an entirely sort of. Well, it's kind of important in terms of seeding and all of that for Ninjas in Pyjamas, but they've already booked their tickets, right? They are ready to go. So in a sense, this map for them it matters, but it doesn't really in terms of their actual outcome and their potential outcome as well. And it's the same for EnVyUs. It's just the same. It's just whether or not you move up the table, where you end up falling, and what's really going to happen around there. But nonetheless, we are going to get underway. Ninjas in Pyjamas versus Team EnVyUs on Cobblestone, and EnVyUs already taking the initiative over towards B. Get Right traded out for one. Rez finds one as well as they try and burst on for the entry. Happy jumping himself up close and up in Rez's face as the rest of the Ts do start to push out of drop as well, and Sixer lands the headshot. 3 players now all rotating towards this B site, but EnVyUs with a flurry of kills going through, able to completely overrun, get the bomb plant, and Happy closes us down.
Yeah, Sixer and Happy both doing a lot of work there. I mean, the 2 kills that Sixer claimed basically opened up the site for EnVy, and from there, well, everything just fell into place. Frag after frag, EnVy took themselves to pistol, and they'll use that to hopefully leapfrog themselves towards a second as well. Then NiP, well, of course they're going to invest, but it's a very tough round for them, especially when you're up against the plethora of SMGs we're looking at. Of course, they all are SMGs in itself, but 4 MAC-10s, just a 1 UMP.
Wasn't it Team EnVyUs that won both pistol rounds last game as well? If memory serves, I think it was as well. And Scream was the one who bought Galil in the second half of the last map, and the rest of them bought 4 MAC-10s again. It seems to be a pretty default play. They seem to be pretty strong on their pistol rounds and pretty confident on their second rounds as well, it seems. Is Happy able to land the headshot with that MAC-10. Exist on site, not quite able to do the damage necessary, but Forrest is. He's going to try and look for a second, but EnVyUs are not to be halted, and Rez certainly won't be able to do so, and EnVyUs put 2 on the board.
Yeah, a good chunk of damage, but nothing they could really capitalize on, unfortunately. And this does lead us to what should be the kind of perfect world 3-0. You talked about in the last game, the idea in Counter-Strike, how usually if you kind of get 2 rounds, you expect your third. If you get 4 rounds, you're expecting the 5th. It's just kind of the way that the money situation for teams usually plays out, and that's kind of what we're seeing here, of course, for NiP. They can't invest. It would be a ridiculous move. Instead, they are just going to take all of that money, kind of stash it away for that 4th round buy, and they'll just wait here on these USPs to try and basically do as much damage as they can, maybe sneak in a kill with a Zeus if you get right.
Wow.
The timing impeccable. Absolutely impeccable get right.
That's one of my favorite sound effects in the entire game, is when someone gets killed by a Zeus. I'll spare you an impression, but it's just a beautiful sound.
There's someone out there. There's not many people, but there's someone out there who definitely wants to hear that now.
Ah! How's that?
There you go, folks. I'm honestly so sorry that piece of your mind has been opened up.
You're not sorry at all.
I take no responsibility at all.
Take all responsibility.
Damage is done. MAC-10s claiming themselves some money, of course. EnVy did find themselves a plant. Now, of course, for NiP, they took down Happy. They took down Scream. That's 2 frags. Yeah. The meaning... It doesn't really mean too much. I mean, I'm going to be blunt there. I think that you kind of need 3 to really push over the line. It will impact EnVy a teeny bit, but nothing life-changing.
And that's the thing as well, because they're playing on those MAC-10s. They were going to be upgrading them, or looking to upgrade them into the next round anyway. They're going to be able to pick up those AKs now. The loss of that UMP is probably the major hit to them. But you can just see they did actually lose another MAC-10, but again, it's not really an issue. And RPK just racking up money as well. The majority of the kills going over to those MAC-10s, which means that they do have a lot of money to play with, and they're just going to be opening the coffers and spilling forth their bounty into the rest of their team. As 4 AKs get picked up, and actually it looks like a 5th is going to follow. Maybe an AWP, actually, going over onto Sixter, but no. They are just going to opt for those 5 AKs. Coming up against the 5 M4s from Ninjas in Pyjamas. And a little bit of early utility used from Ninjas means that EnVyUs could have a little bit of a foothold moving forwards.
Well, EnVy are definitely going to be hungry for this B site. We're seeing all of the signs that the B site take is what's coming. They've smoked off Door nice and early. They've thrown a melee towards the back of Plat. They threw a smoke towards Rock, I believe, as well. The flashes are all there. Everything is in place now for EnVy to wander out on towards the site. The problem is they're not getting the kills. Rez on the back of this site is doing work. The trade should have came in, but Rez was gifted a double kill. Sixer able to turn around back on its head. Scream playing alongside him for the swift one tap. He goes for a second, kills off Get Right, brings it back to a 1v1, peeks in towards Door. Tap tap is the aim of the game, and tap tap is what Scream will achieve. 3 kills for him, and EnVy gifted their 4th round.
4-0, and as we said before, looking to move it on to a 5th. Plenty of money on the side of EnVyUs, so those AKs will just be chucked about willy-nilly, no problem. You wanna borrow an AK? No problem. I've got you covered. Says all of Team EnVyUs. But instead of that, actually, a MAC-10 being brought up. Now, I quite like this because they know this 5th round is going to be a round where Ninjas in Pyjamas can't necessarily buy armor on all of their players. They're looking at Sixer to try and go in fast, try and get close and spray down those enemies and be that sacrificial lamb, because even if they pick up that MAC-10, it's not the end of the world. They're going to be able to take it on if they so choose. But, I mean, losing him for nothing isn't ideal. Do want to have a little bit of something for that investment, but the ROI hasn't come to fruition just yet. Team EnVyUs still just biding their time.
I think Jake's a man after our hearts right now. He keeps on hopping back to Get Right. He's got the Zeus, hoping that, you know, a bit of magic will happen. Here we go again, holding our window. Hops on through, he's behind her rifle, and he actually gets away with it. The sound effect didn't quite pop. I know it was your favorite bit, but the kill came in. The rifle. Drop there. RPK, of course, will still secure things. There is no actual win condition for NiP, but there's the comical side of things, that 2 rounds and 2 Zeus kills.
That's a badge of honor. That is 2 Zeus kills in 2 rounds. That's or in 3 rounds, wasn't it? In 3 rounds. That's pretty impressive. Big fan of Get Right. Big fan of that. Well done.
I thought you'd just given him like a pat on the back.
That's it. That's all he needs.
Double up setup very early on for this, though, for NiP. They're pretty much big bulk investment. 2 ups. Be interesting to see how this plays out. Of course, EnVy opting for just a 1. It's going to be on Sixer. Scream. Ooh, advancing forward through the smoke.
They heard it. They heard it, and he was able to back off, but Exist just turns the corner and Scream's like, oh, cool, ahead. I'll click on that. And he does manage to get the frag, and straight away they have the advantage. Once again, EnVyUs really putting their best foot forwards off the back of the loss as well. They've done well to rally around it and rally around this this change of map, change of game, and they're really treating it like a new day, which is fantastic to see. But maybe not if you're a Ninjas in Pyjamas fan, because they go for the drop.
RPK going to push on in. Rez doing pretty good work so far. It's been a pretty strong anchor on this site, and then again, 2 kills for him. Scream whipping one back, leaving Draken towards Coop with that orb. Left completely flashed off the smoke as well, proving to be rather problematic as Happy. He's going to be dispatching with Get Right, who was stuck towards Rock. 50 seconds swings on by Scream, going to be getting aggressive, spots out Forest. Just another 1-tap Scream doing as Scream will. Draken trying desperately to survive. All comes down to his play now. The decisions he makes, that is a nasty flick. 1 more is all that he needs. The peek comes in, knows the position now of Scream. Holding the cross desperately. Banky on the idea that he just takes the fight. He will, but it's Scream that wins the duel.
Oh, the bomb got dropped over towards Plateau on the stairs, actually. So it meant that Scream didn't have that backup from the player he was expecting to come in and aid him. But it's just he was able to win out that trade, but that was very, very lucky. 4 kills.
4 kills
from Scream on that round, which is, I mean, in any round that's crazy, but especially when in that sort of clutch situation, really coming up big for his team. And unfortunate because Draken had a really good run there, able to drop the bomb carrier in a less than favorable position, we'll say that, and then able to get the rest of the frags as well, and almost taking down Scream to boot. Just lost out on the duel, wasn't quite quick enough on the trigger, but a very nice play coming out from him positionally and tactically in terms of having that trigger discipline to not go for those peaks when he didn't need to.
I think everything was there at the end of the day. It just, the stars did not align. Scream. Nasty, nasty work. 9-2, of course. A promising start at a 6-0 scoreline for Team EnVyUs. And an interesting point here, of course, the owner of EnVy, he's one that I've seen particularly kind of online you know, a fair bit, especially in the past. We're going back to almost like kind of 2015, 2016 here. Talk about the idea that a win is a win no matter what, and he's been a big preacher of that to a lot of his teams. Now, I don't know if that carries over to his CS team or really anything like that, but I know that that's kind of one of the small pieces of a fairly big mantra that he preaches to his organization. And I think that's an interesting thing here, of course, the idea that EnVy, what are they fighting for? NiP they're already going to Odense at the end of the day. But I think for them, it is still a win, right? It still affects the money they could potentially take home. Still affects potentially their final ranking. Might not change things for NiP, but for EnVy, it's all about them.
Yeah, and they are certainly taking that to heart. 6-0 already. They are outperforming themselves, but Get Right with a nice little boost-up drop, able to open up the fragging and drop away with that AK as well. So they do have a little bit more strength on this B site. Rez backing away for the flash, and the spray from the CZ lands well. Sixer though, and Scream both just walk through, and he finds 3 headshots. I mean, it's not even a problem, right? You just walk around the corner and click on people. It's the aim of the game. But he has taken to 1 HP. Doesn't matter though, a Sixer lands the AWP shot over onto Exist, and EnVy take a 7th round with not a peep from Ninjas in Pyjamas.
You make it sound so easy, John. Counter-Strike.
Yeah, I mean, it's a game of clicking on people.
I'll tell you what, though. Scream, that's some clinical clicking if I've ever
He's
seen it
very
before.
good at clicking on people.
John, have you played ESCA before?
Pardon?
Have you played ESCA before?
No.
You should. You should try it sometime.
I
We'll
think
see
I
how
should,
good
yeah.
you are at clicking mouse.
Yeah,
It's
probably.
so simple.
Oh, I don't know if I'm that good. There's a reason I talk about it instead of play it, you know?
Yeah, makes sense. What's interesting here, of course, to continue that trend of you talking about things, is the double up setup being shut down continually by the aggression of EnVy. I mean, Draken and Rez started strong, but RPK, a double for him, Get Right. Totaling things up to a 3 versus 2. May well have just stolen the most important kill of the round. But what's strong here from EnVy, if they slow things right down to a grinding halt, they put Happy in a spot where he just waits patiently so for that opportunity. And if NiP give it up, this could be disastrous. This peeks into the corner, but wins out the duel. That's huge. As it leaves just Sixer all alone. An AWP. But a wallbang to make it feel possible. 2 kills to find, and Molly's good. It's going to push Get Right nice and wide towards the back of sight. But also gives him the angle he needs to close him down.
First round on the board for Ninjas in Pyjamas. Finally able to do it with those double AWPs being saved as well. Means that they have got a little bit more strength, as we talked about the double AWP setup a couple of times before as well. Over on that B site, that AWP playing Lynch is really, really crucial, and choosing where you want to put that second AWP is sort of up to you. At the end of the day, there's no real sort of meta for it. There's no necessary place for a second AWP to go on a CT side, especially on Cobble. You can pretty much put it anywhere. I mean, you can play up aggressive with it in underpass. You can watch from window towards drop if you really want to. I mean, there's so many different things you can do with it. But the thing that they need to be wary of is EnVy stacking up towards drop.
Above all else, the positive thing here for EnVy is just, for NiP, sorry, is the money situation for EnVy, the fact it's so kind of all over the place. And that's just down to how close these rounds have been. EnVy haven't been able to save 5 players alive every single time. What they do have, though, is Scream and an AK-47. This is his bread and butter weapon. The man quite literally released his own mouse just because of how good he was at this. So let's see if he can put in the work here, of course. Already at a disadvantage. Has his teammates on Tech 9s. They're looking to kind of gather up a bit of information. You see this jump here, which is just about baiting that shot from Draken, but Draken just completely holding very nice and still, not giving away anything.
You see how he's readjusted his crosshair there? That's to give him, so he knows that there's reaction time. As soon as they hit the crosshair, he knows he can shoot. And, well, yeah, they just push out, they just kill them all. But, yeah, fair enough. EnVy do take another loss. But you see how that readjustment of the crosshair, very tactically savvy, especially against pistols, because you know they're not going to really, statistically, going to be able to just turn the corner and go for that sort of one-tap with a long-range Tech 9 or something like that, because I think they actually all had Tech 9s on Team EnVy. Pretty much across the board. But yeah, and just readjusting, just little things like that are what separate the pros from people who play ACA like you and me.
Smoke comes down. The pilot play. This flash could be disastrous. Draken hitting a very nice shot with the AWP, but will it be enough? XMS, the CZ at close range. Rez is able to take down Scream. XMS, before he can even peek with the AWP, is led to his grave, leaving just Happy. Not in the right position, unfortunately. Was caught out.
Not enough bullets in his clip either, and just run out on the spray. Not able to get enough damage through. Ninjas in Pyjamas take a third. EnVy, though, still have a significant lead, 7-3, and their economy is back on its feet. They're able to splash the cash. and buy up those 5 AKs. Double AWP again for Ninjas in Pyjamas. I mean, it served them well. They're just going to be able to save those AWPs through the rounds and try and keep their investment going. Forest playing aggressive towards the underpass, but they're just going to get backed off. That spray through the door becoming more and more popular for both sides, actually. It's normally started by the T side and then sort of echoed by the CT side as they try and get a little bit of damage back. But spraying down that position over towards the second door can actually net you quite a significant amount of damage, enough so that sometimes you could get a nade through, or you could get something like that, which will actually give you the possibility of getting just a frag for pretty much nothing if you play your cards right. But nothing was to come of it this round. See if they're able to do it something in the future. But Draken's over towards A long, finds one and drops the bomb carrier as well. Exists spraying down through the smoke, is going to find it, and Scream falls, and that's going to leave EnVyUs in a really sticky predicament.
That's some very nice early frags from NiP. Sticky, as you say, it's a 4v2. Happy, maybe we'll be able to catch off Draken though on this slow push, but Draken quick enough to take him down. 4-7, NiP slowly carving their way back into the CT side after what was a very, very struggling start. 4-7 seems a lot closer. Draken masterfully done here. The way he falls back, of course, hugs the wall is just exactly what he needs to do. Buys him that extra second or so just to reposition, lock in that second kill while his teammate gets it done down in mid.
Able to close it up, and again, Team EnVyUs forced back onto those pistols. Only armor being bought, RPK. 3 Deagles, though, being picked up. And, well, we've seen how accurate Scream can be with those headshots. We've seen just what a demon he is, and they're just going to be able to try and go for those picks and try and do economic damage here. They're not really looking to win at this stage.
Yeah, these pistols, very bleak chances, so I take this opportunity to give you guys at home an update on what's going on throughout the entirety of ESL Pro League Season 6, of course. Na'Vi playing FaZe, 7-1 up right now on Nuke. Meanwhile, of course, between Fnatic and G2, 4-3 on Inferno. Hellraisers versus Godsend, 8-1 up Hellraisers are. That's such a good showing from them. I imagine Issa really putting up the numbers for them right now. Of course, then Big and North, that's 5-4, a very close game on Overpass. And lastly, of course, Astralis, Mousesports, Astralis, 7-3 up. And LDLC Heroic, 3-6 in favor of Heroic. Again, another strong performance from Heroic coming out.
Fair enough. I hope Heroic those down in the right order, but that remains to be seen. Exist is just going to be able to stray down through the smoke, takes down 2. XMS and Scream fall as they try and go for this long push and try and go for the pre-fire on the angles, but they're just not finding anything. Forest will, though. RPK does fall down. They still have the bomb in their control, but they only have 1 player left in the form of Sixer. Triple kill, maybe? I believe. Do you believe?
I don't think it means much. Just these pistols. Just get it done. NiP, get yourself your 5th. Worry about your 6th. What you need to be doing right now is just thinking about your game plan for getting that 6th round from it.
Oh.
Triple kill denied.
Well, I don't know. I was talking about Sixer.
I mean, it all works.
Sure. Well, there's the double. Landed 2 headshots already. Well, 1 headshot there and one through the wall. Trying to push out, trying to go for it.
That's my point right there.
Go for a knife fight.
He just knows the reality of that situation is just non-existent.
Yeah.
This is the one that counts for NiP.
He didn't even have armor as well, so he's only sacrificing that $700 that you need to spend on that Deagle, and they're going to be full buying this round anyway, because of course they saved all that money in the last round, and AWP I think no doubt going to be bought up on Sixer. No, again, they just opt for these AKs. Now, I'm not too sure about this. I mean
T-side, you can definitely go 5 AKs.
Yeah, I mean, but they just haven't really been finding so much success. As soon as Ninjas in Pyjamas have gotten their foot in the door and able to sort of get those rifles on board, get that utility as well, they just haven't been able to sort of open up anywhere, get some ground, and try and sort of expound on something that they've gained. And I think that is principally to do with the fact that they aren't getting picks early, and something that helps you with that is an aggressive T-side AWP. Or even a passive T-side AWP, waiting for those CTs to push out a position. Something that the Ninjas aren't really doing, but something that they could try and go for on that aggressive style of T-side AWP. But they are just holding their ground and going for that quintuple AK.
The smoke's all landing now on towards that A site. The push comes up, Scream and co leading the charge. Forest already taking down Happy. It's a solid start for NiP in their defenses. They have a lot more to come. He wants to actually hold on to this round. Of course, Exist playing super close to this long smoke. XMS just almost right on the other side. And as it begins to fade, his feet will become very apparent here for Exist.
Should have heard that.
Molly to be coming out now. We'll force it into a bit of an awkward spot. The jewel to be taken. XMS finding it. The molly, of course, still very problematic. He can't even take a lick of damage from it. But at the end of the day, a kill is a kill. RPK it'll be causing a problem in connector, prompting NiP to be just worried about him jumping out through the window.
Did spot him out just as a player was rotating through connector, but nonetheless, they still have their eyes set on A site, and Scream has managed to push himself all the way up towards the bomb site, but Forrest has got his number, but he's not quite able to land the headshot at first, but turns it on and then finds a second as well. Able to get the frag, and now it's just Sixer with 4 seconds left on the clock. No chance you're going to be able to defuse or plant the bomb even, so you will need to be saving this weapon here. You cannot be losing the rifle like that, especially after the time runs down. That's going to mean that he doesn't get any money on board. He still has 3.4k, and that's sort of in line with the rest of his team, so it's not the end of the world, but he could have backed off and tried to save that AK and had a little bit more strength moving forwards.
For EnVy here, of course, it will be just another round of investment from them. Players will buying as much as they can physically muster. Unfortunately, that is going to be the 3 rifles, 2 pistols. A lot of utility on Sixer and Scream, though, to at least make up for it. So NiP do an incredible job of really getting value out of their CT side. 6 rounds is really all they need now. Anything more, I argue, is a bonus, considering the way that Cobblestone usually plays out. And for them to have the chance to even tie things up and potentially compete for the win is something else entirely.
Fast push going over on towards the B site. Draken once more at the back of sight, but this time they're not going to let him hold down that position. Sixer shuts it out with a CZ shot going through. Rez trying to do the damage and get right to finish it out with the nade. Spray down from Rez as well. 4 bullets left in the clip. Will they be able to find anything? No, they won't. Scream able to land the headshot, but Forrest is there, ready and waiting to trade. Pushes on, finds a second as well. Now it's just Happy. It's a matter of time before he goes down, and Forrest with a triple kill, able to close Ninjas in Pajamas out yet another round, bringing them even.
Forrest and Rez really dragging NiP through that round, through almost blood, sweat, and tears, because it was incredibly tough. I mean, Draken, I argue that EnVy didn't play that round out to catch off Draken necessarily. I mean, he was just in a weird position, as was, so left completely blind, was just kind of hopping away, so unfortunate stuff for NiP, but as I mentioned, carried through by the likes of Forrest, who gets himself to the tip of the board.
That's kind of a big swing on the rounds there. You see, like, Team EnVy had a dominant early start to this half, but Ninjas in Pajamas are just like, they're just coming back, and they're just on a roll, and it seems like EnVy can't really do anything here, and they have actually opted to pick up the AWP, but it's not going to matter because Draken echoes his performance from earlier and gets the exact same 2 kills. Not on the bomb carrier this time. Unfortunately, they don't have that position, but the bomb carrier is waiting just around the corner. Sixer with that AWP does have the bomb, and Draken's going to try and go for the AWP face here. Exist picking off his teammates in the meantime, but Sixer actually comes out on top. He should have spotted out the bomb from that. The rest of the players will be playing up close. Not too much damage taken from the nade, so he should be just about okay. But RPK over on this B bomb site, able to turn out a drop, and that's going to be Get Right just falling straight down. That's going to prompt some rotates as well, and all of a sudden Ninjas in Pajamas have a little bit of a hectic situation.
Exist, though, being in the position that he is, it's a lot of information. Same storyline for Forrest as well. Can basically get the heads up on anything coming towards A. He'll likely get aggressive. It's a gamble, but a gamble that's so worthwhile. As they wait to hear any steps towards that B site, nothing being handed over just yet. Rez towards the back of Plat. May well just take a shoulder peek sooner rather than later to kind of spot out the likes of Sixer. And the molly really kind of cements that, swings out wide to the right-hand side, gets nothing, so will straight away fall back and has a choice, tuck in corner or go towards Troop. Doesn't really matter too much. Exist as they've been able to rotate over. Sixer hitting a very, very nice shot. But because they're playing together, Forrest will trade. And it puts them a quick 7-8. That's that done and dusted. Half complete. Back with you in just a few moments' time. Welcome back, folks, to the European Pro League. You're joining us in the conclusion of one of the final games in this online season of play, NiP versus EnVy. Here we go, John. The pistol, of course, about to unfold. RPK under a lot of pressure. XMS starting to tap them down. It's 2 early kills, added to a third by RPK. Get right, getting himself a double for Scream. Adds into the action.
Happy shuts it down, and there we go. A quick round going over to EnVy. Trying to pick up these early halves yet again. Maybe it's their forte. Maybe, you know, they start off strong and then tail off a little bit. I don't know. Maybe it's their style. But pistol rounds, again, super strong for EnVy. Every single pistol round today that we've seen, they've won against Ninjas in Pyjamas. Maybe it's something that's a little bit lackluster on Ninjas in Pyjamas, but all credit to EnVy. They're landing their shots when they need to and really sort of going for it there. And something we haven't seen on the second round is something that GetRight's just done, which is buy himself a scout. Now, obviously, you're going to be looking for those headshots and trying not to take those close-range fights. Oh, wow. I'm going to interrupt myself, because that's pretty crazy. Dead even odds.
Thanks to Betway, of course. 1.85 on both sides. I think that's, again, totally justified, though, between these two. Yeah. I was expecting a close game, and we have seen just that. 7 rounds almost back-to-back with both these guys in the first half, of course, leading us here to 8-8.
Yeah, we did actually see a duel going across between Forest and Sixer, but Sixer was able to come out on top of that one. Draken, with the backup of GetRight, able to come out on the top of his duel, but here's Sixer waiting for the spray, but Rez lands the Deagle shot. It's just going to go over to him, but Happy is ready and waiting behind the SWAT man, falls back, tries to go for the long-range spray with that MP9, and actually is able to pick up 2 headshots with it. They're pushing in around the site. GetRight has his scout, but he's not able to use it quite as effective as he would have liked, and RPK finds that final kill, and EnVy take the second round of the half.
A solid start. Now they have to run with it, though. They have to take that torch and continue to march on forward. Only a short sprint to the end, I'd argue. For NiP, of course, a relaxing round for them. It is just going to be the Glocks, the P250s and such. Nothing really too mad. Look at EnVy, though, these SMGs, man. That's a lot of MP9s.
They're going for the bonus round here. They are. Well, it's not really the bonus round at this point. The bonus round.
The bonus round will be if they keep these MP9s.
Yeah, in the 4th round. But they are going to be looking to rack up the gold nonetheless, because it doesn't matter what the enemy has, as long as you get the kills with the SMGs, you get plenty of moolah. But here we go, Sixer. It's going to be first to face, and actually doesn't even get any damage down. The spray sail's completely wide, and they just completely back off of the fight. But Draken tries to keep going for the face and comes off worse for wear. Not quite dead just yet, but against 2 spraying down MP9s at range, you're going to struggle, certainly with those Glocks, and Happy nets himself 3 kills as they just push straight through towards him. GetRight is going to be the last man left standing. Has a P250, so a little bit, he's their tank of this round for Ninjas in Pyjamas. He's going to be the one that's really looking to put out the damage, you know. I guess he's more the DPS, if we're using this metaphor.
We're running with it now, are we? Are you back into it by any chance?
What?
You joined everyone else in the horde of...
Ninjas in Pyjamas is a very good guild, but it seems like EnVy are just rating a little bit better right now.
Definitely curious to see how this one does play out, of course. NiP going to be dropping that flag and waving it around, trying to really rail themselves up now. 5 AKs, utility on every player. Let's see how this one plays out. EnVy, of course, the AWP on Sixer. Once again, going to be hungry for that first opportunity. Only an early smoke towards Plat, though. 1 offensive, 1 defensive, depending on which side you're looking at. Few angles to be held. Nix actually playing to the right-hand side of the smoke. There's just a tiny gap. It'll be a little unfortunate, but then gets team flashed.
Do you know what I like to do on a cold winter's day? Flash my teammates in Counter-Strike with a flashbang grenade.
Glad you felt the need to clarify that.
Just clarify
to really
that.
The look I got from you there was a little bit ominous, so I was just like, oh, that has been said live on air.
Yeah, well, there's plenty of things that have been said that are probably equally as absolutely fine, with nothing wrong with them. But
tell you what, let's talk about the death and destruction of Rez. The man's burning in some flames, just stuck up on a pyre, but managed to escape, cut himself free and got a kill for his troubles, starting to really inflict some revenge on his opposition. as Exist will fight alongside, taking down Sixer. That's an early 2-man advantage now for these Swedes, but they need to do a whole lot more. Forest stepping up, finding that kill. Leaving just XMS and RPK. Both of them contemplating the save already. 30 seconds on the clock, bear in mind, so a lot of value in them just backing away, but it seems like they're split. XMS with the SMG wants to get aggressive. Meanwhile, RPK with the rifle knows full well that that 3100 better spent in the 5th round.
Just holding it back. XMS was trying to play the bonus round this time, and that 3100 does just go down the drain, as Rez does get the frag over onto RPK, but yeah, XMS was trying to play the bonus round and actually playing it up towards Plateau, which really didn't go very well for him, but maybe he can rack up a few kills here, but no, the back gets spotted out and Exist. We got the frag. Ninjas in Pajamas finally get their round in this half. 9 to 10 now in favor of EnVyUs, but still very much all to play for, as this is kind of last buy for EnVyUs. If they lose this, they won't be able to buy into the next round. Ninjas in Pajamas would do if they were to take the hit there, but obviously it's not favorable. And yeah, Team EnVyUs not even able to full buy this round, so see what they can do with those CZs, and that AWP is going to go well for Sixer, so they've evened it out just a little bit.
This all comes down to his close range ability. Look at him go! Pulls 3 kills out of the bag, needed a 4th, ideally to slow down this A push. Unfortunately, does get taken down. Now, the work is coming in on towards the site. Exist did take down RPK, but in just a moment's notice, Scream will build things back up for EnVy. Rez steps into the light, finds a headshot for him, but it's all on just one man. It's not enough. EnVy, they will push forward. The double AWP setup, most importantly, thanks to Sixer as an individual for finding those first 3 kills in mid. That was such a well-fallen back couple of AWP shots, and I'm sure, yeah, we're just going to see it again here. Just pushing in. Ninjas in Pajamas, they're squatting up. Sixer finds one. He just moves left the whole time and is able to just find all 3 of those kills as they go in for that push, which it signed the death contract, right, on Ninjas in Pajamas push. If they hadn't, if he'd have got 1 kill less, even just the 1 kill less, they would have had a lot more strength moving forwards, and they would have been able to go for those multiple faces. Obviously, you've got a little bit more health to play with across the board. You can go a little bit more aggressive and push up and try and take that sort of A site at a face rather than try and be a little bit sneaky about it. But as it stood, they only had 2 players left standing, and when Team EnVyUs were swarming, they fell in the end. But they are into another round, and Get Right opens it up. Searching for an opportunity towards back plat. Exist have the molly, of course, just to clear things out, but that won't really fend off XMS. He'll be tucked in with his MP9. Of course, still a minute to play with. And be burning through a little bit more utility. Rez actually able to drop a smoke just to escape that molly. It's the same play we saw, exactly. He keeps standing there and they keep throwing fire at him, and he just has to drop his smoke. It's utility that's just wasted. Oh, that's going to find the kill. 2 players already taken off the board. Sixer finding 1, Scream with the nade to find the other, but Draken has actually managed to push all the way up towards the site. They are caught unawares, and Scream goes down. He's wary of players playing a little bit closer, but look a little bit further afield, my friend, because Sixer is bearing down upon you, and he has the AWP ready and waiting. You know how effective it is. I'm pretty sure you died to it a couple of rounds, or last 2 rounds ago, 1 round ago, last round. And Sixer's not done yet. He's just going to find another and just turn it on. I mean, why not, you know? This guy is absolutely on a roll. This is his map, and he is putting his foot down. 4 kills once again for him. 23 to 14 is his current stat line. It's crazy. It was the only reason we went to OT in the previous map as well, worth adding. And that was down to his finesse with the AWP. He's stepping up in this map too, and there's a lot of value in that last round for EnVy, because now it puts them at 12. But not only that, you look at NiP, it gives up EnVy's 13th round, which is pretty much a crossing point as they try and close out this game. Not much breathing room really left now for NiP. Got to get it together sooner rather than later. Full Glocks running in, trying to find the opening. Get Right on the Deagle will try and land those headshots, but they do need to actually find that opening to start with, and with a player like Sixer on the prowl, you really need to come up with something special. But Scream is just going to shut that Deagle down and find another one as well, but does get shut down finally. Rez picking up that Deagle is able to land the shot. He's looking for another one. Do they not? Well, not too sure what happened there, but Happy
was a little bit more sure of himself. Sixer finding one towards a long as well. And now it's just Forrest. He has picked himself up an M4. Could go for the spray. Jump around the corners. Not going to save you, my friend. Has to pull out the Glock, watching for the flank, but Happy will be the one ready and waiting. He's able to push out and get the bomb with the help of that smoke, and hasn't reloaded the M4 yet, so we'll need to back off and do that before he's able to go for any sort of face. But only 35 seconds left. He's going to be struggling to find almost anything, and with that smoke clearing, Happy will have him pinned.
Problem he's got is he's trying to be super smart by basically sitting super far back, and he'll push at like 20, maybe 15 seconds left, running with the idea that NiP think he's rotated. But because of the position of XMS, not a single player has rotated. They're all standing their ground. They've got these advanced positions. It's so brutal for Forrest, unfortunately. It was a good game plan. It was a kind of a 50-50 gamble. This time around, the coin flip did not swing his way. It will go 13-9. NiP get to buy up here, but they run out of chances. They drop this. You look at not only 14, but you may well be handing over map point to EnVy.
Pretty much. I mean, this is one of the series that I predicted to go 1-1, along with the Fnatic G2 match and the RDLC Heroic match. And we can see that. EnVyUs really putting their best foot forwards into this second match. Ninjas in Pyjamas obviously taking home the first one in overtime. Put there by a fantastic clutch from Sixer, but yeah, they were able to take the map home, but it looks like EnVyUs are just a lot stronger here on Cobble.
Talking of those other games and your predictions in general, let's see how you're shaping up. Of course, Na'Vi and FaZe right now. Na'Vi 14-5 over FaZe. Exceptional performance from them.
Na'Vi 14-5.
Yeah.
Who's stepping up for them? Is it simple?
I will check.
We'll see if we can find that.
Let me have a look real quick. I'm going to put some money on Electronic for sure. Let me have a quick look down at the stats here. We'll get there. That's not even coming up. That's there we go.
Oh.
It is, yeah, you're right. It's Simple and Electronic playing hand in hand together. 23-13, and Electronic being 20-11.
There we go. I'd like to point out, put 1-1 in brackets next to it, and that was contingent on Electronic stepping up.
I like that. So far, you're doing pretty well for yourself.
I'm doing all right. I like my odds. Let's say that.
Well, let's see how this one works out for you then. Of course, NiP, I think we can all make the acute observation their utility is very, very rough around the edges. A lot of mollies, but the smoke department, a little bit thin. They've only got 4 to play with, and there really isn't too much they can do to stretch those. Oh, XMS. There we go. They have to execute relatively soon. They have no real disposable utility. That's my point. That should make things fairly rough when you're up against EnVy, who have a lot of flashes to really push you back. The molly as well.
They're actually pushing on multiple fronts here, with Forrest on the flank, putting pressure over on A. They can't prompt the full rotate on Team EnVyUs, and that's going to allow Ninjas in Pyjamas to try and find those openings if they can get them. But Forrest rotating back now, and the four-man stack up from EnVyUs means that Ninjas in Pyjamas will have their work cut out. But GetRight has already taken control of this of the drop position, with 2 players playing very, very close. The flashbang will
Such a good flash.
keep him completely out of the game, and 2 kills go through, and EnVyUs are just wiping the floor with Ninjas in Pyjamas in this round. There's no way back from that. That's 14-19, and as you said before, that leads to more. Could be map point.
That flash is so disgusting because he's turning towards that second room thinking, you know, he even hears the flash. He turns away from the flash, but little does he know, that flash is going right over his head and slam dunking itself right in front of him. Leaves not only him blind, but his teammate who's dropping too. It secures the easy double kill, and from there, the whole round just trickles away from NiP. That is...
Yeah.
That's a small nuance in play, one tiny bit of utility, but it really shows the importance of, if you know individually what you're going to do in one scenario, you can help your team win an entire round off the back of that one flash.
Absolutely. That's the strength of coordination, boys and girls. They used that to the T and were able to pick up the round. Again, 14-19, and as you said before, it's really going to be leading towards that 15-9 scoreline. Now, what Ninjas in Pyjamas have opted to do here is go for this semi-buy off the back of the loss and try and go for a round next time. That's a nice fast smoke, but Sixer will look for a repeat performance over towards the underpass, but only gets 1 this time, and that's going to give the AWP over to Rez. Dropping it down, it's going to be Exist actually winning the trade against Scream as they continue to push on towards the A site. RPK drops down from balcony, pushes on through, and it's going to be a couple of kills going over back to EnVyUs, but the bomb now is on site. They just need to pick it up and go for the plant. EnVyUs have rotated around, and is just going to take Rez straight down. Get right, though. Last man left standing for Ninjas in Pyjamas. If he's able to pick this one up, that's a huge victory for the Ninjas in Pyjamas. EnVyUs need to be very, very careful about what sort of ground they give, and he's just going to run all the way back to B. Now, the bomb is down on A site, so I'm not too sure what they're
Has Get Right outbrained him here? Is he going to rotate back to B, thinking that he can catch him on the rotate or try and use that as a rotational position to get in connector?
He would have heard that.
Maybe he was aware of that, but now Happy knows exactly what's going on. This is a very weird round of CS, but we're going to see how this plays out because, you know, the upside for Get Right is Happy thinks that's either him dropping or him fake dropping. It's one of the two things. He now is obliged to investigate that. That's, you know, I'm going to go ahead and say 20 seconds of his time spent just checking what's going on, whether it's clearing connector and such. Now, don't get me wrong, Get Right being excruciatingly slow with picking up that bomb.
Oh.
But it just comes down to a battle of time, and Get Right is clearing things bit by bit. This is super tedious to watch. Happy comes down towards the mid-ramp, crosses to the right-hand side. Now, Get Right hidden right behind the wall. The bomb, though, he has to step towards it. He pulls up the upper angle, but Happy wins the Angel.
Oh, no. Wow, that was so, so close. And just, it was so sad. Get Right. If he just cleared a little bit faster on towards the site, he would have known, oh, Happy must have gone over towards that B site and tried to outbrain me. And that's what ended up happening. It allowed him to sneak back onto the A site undetected. They were sort of moving around each other a little bit unnoticed and going unseen, but at the end of the round, it was Team EnVyUs who came out on top and Happy to win it out for them. So, Ninjas in Pyjamas need to pick this one up if they want to be able to take this one to overtime, which is their goal. Buying from every round here on out, no matter what. Well, unless they lose, in which case it won't be any more rounds. But they do have full AKs and a lot of utility to play with as well. Rez leading the charge in, lands a headshot. They've opened up the B side.
So far, so good. Looking for a second, but currently left completely blind. Has to be careful not to feed it into the molly. Instead, just backing away. So many flashes being thrown. It's a blinding affair. Happy finally eking out a kill, and he'll throw even more utility just to try and make things even more difficult for NiP. I mean, lurking in this smoke is so problematic. Get Right will be able to actually spray him down through it. RPK, meanwhile, playing peekaboo with Rez, leaving just Sixer. 50 seconds, one man with an AWP. Likely a man that needs to save.
He's just going to fall off. They need to play this one smart because, you know, you give Ninjas in Pyjamas an opening, and we saw in the first half, they will take it, and it's not something that you can argue with. It's just going to happen, and look at that. Yeah, the money on the side of EnVyUs just sort of dictates you need to save. There's no other option in this scenario. You pull back, you save that AWP, you've got that armor and headgear as well, and the defuse kit. That's a lot of value that you're bringing into the next round, a lot of value, especially given the rest of your team aren't really going to be able to provide such a strong backing. Giving that over to Sixer means that he can potentially just hold off the A site on his own. I mean, we've seen him do miracles with it before, but whether he can do it again remains to be seen here in round number 11 of the half.
Interesting for you. Talk about getting it done, talk about value. I mean, I think Hellraisers seek a lot of value in 16-2ing Godsent.
They 16-2'd them?
Yeah.
That's very interesting. Now, if G2 completely tank against Fnatic in this match, Hellraisers are in with a chance of putting themselves in this top 6.
It's 12-10 right now.
We'll keep our eyes on it.
Fnatic are 12-10 up right now as we speak live. Continuing to play on out. Of course, this game still ticking over as well. Sixer did lose his life very early on. The Molly going towards the back of the steps. The Pistols struggling as this continues to approach.
Able to get the opening frag. 3 players now left for Team EnVyUs. They do have the AWP still up and running, but it's in the hands of Scream now. Bomb gets planted over on the B bomb site, and none of the EnVyUs players are actually rotating in. They're just going to go for the save again, leaving that CZ playing up close. That flashbang will not flash Rez, and he is able to get away with a kill, but not actually with the gun. Drops down towards Connector, and Exist is able to take care of that one, but Happy is able to trade it back, picks up the AK as well, and just falls off on towards the A bomb site. Don't want to be giving away any more frags, as we saw the money for EnVyUs not super strong at all. He's going to hear out a couple of players trying to push on through. Goes for the trade and actually lands the headshot. Is aware that someone's over by drop. It is trying to look for it, and Scream actually finds a kill over towards the A site. If they can do this damage here, that's huge for Team EnVyUs. They're able to, they're not able to win the round, but they're able to do the economic damage. And that is going to be Ninjas in Pajamas having to rebuy all of their guns. And you can see their bankroll is running pretty close to the red right now.
Have got to remember, though, there is no reset potential or anything like that. One round that NiP mess up is the round where the game concludes. Just like that, it'll be 16-11 in the case of this one, for example. So they have to keep an eye on it. As long as they can keep buying, I think that's the most important thing. Because Drac going to be taking that early peek, but Happy steps into the spotlight and says, no, this time I'll not let you get that first frag. I'm changing things. And he sets the record straight, finds the first kill. That's a pretty good start for EnVy.
This is where we hold them. This is where they die. EnVyUs laying down the gauntlet. Ninjas in Pajamas. If you want to take this B site, you have to get through us. 2 AWPs at the ready, supported by a Deagle and 2 CZs. A little bit of a weird firing squad, but it seems to be working out so far. But not if Forest gets behind you. Sixer will fall down, and that's one of those AWPs out of the hands of EnVyUs. Playing up close again, Rez playing in that sort of standard spot. XMS will be burnt out of his position. Rez spotting it out as well. So they do know a little bit more now, but Scream turns the corner and lands the shot onto Forest over on the A site, and the rotation has been called from Ninjas in Pajamas.
Also seeing it coming from Happy, though, which is crucial. I mean, as long as he doesn't keep himself too caught onto the idea of drop and actually gets over towards A, then his AWP could do wonders in terms of just holding down mid or long. I'd like to see him look towards long. That's really where he's going to have his most use. But it comes down to timing. If Reds peaks like that, that could have been a kill. But no, it won't be. It's actually 2 tags. The Rifles claiming both of those lives. RPK next on the chopping block as his head will roll thanks to Exist, leaving just XMS.
And save he will. Yet again, there's no other option for EnVyUs. They have been decimated in all of these previous rounds. I mean, we saw them with 2 players saved into the last round and able to wipe out all 5 players from Ninjas, even if they did lose the round to the bomb. But even then, they only had 2 players saving. And that's a significant chunk of damage done by Ninjas in Pajamas onto Team EnVyUs. And they are keeping EnVyUs unable to go for these full buys and to go for this sort of full utility that really has slowed them down in the past and in the early parts of this half. Something that EnVyUs were really doing well is using that utility effectively to stop the Ninjas in their tracks, but it's just not going to happen anymore because they're just keeping this economy limited. They're racking up more rounds, and Ninjas in Pajamas looking good to try and take this one to overtime if they so choose, but EnVyUs have the money now to play with a little bit.
A lot of thinking to do if you're EnVy. Really is what it comes down to, of course. Only 3 rounds currently being the difference. And considering the way that EnVy's economy does look, it's not going to be 3 full buys, for example. So they have to start getting it right sooner rather than later. I mean, they're getting the first picks now. We're starting to see them contest much more towards plat. I think that's a welcome change. But it's just the sheer firepower from NiP that's been able to pull things back. Time and time again, we've seen just double kills or even triple kills just be pulled out of the bag by thin air from NiP.
Yeah, it's really just been sort of individual performance that's carrying them through in a lot of these games. I mean, we've seen Sixer as well step up to the plate in a huge way across multiple different rounds. It's just been it's been really good to see that, you know, Sixer. I think he's just had the 2 games of his life so far. Like, he's just been absolutely off his head, just landing these nutty shots.
He's got to close it out, though. Him or his team, they have to close it out, and that's the problem for EnVy. I mean, we're talking so much about them, but there is the Ninjas in Pajamas at the end of the day. These are the guys that have been able to bring it back to 12. They're the guys now with 5 rifles. You're looking at Get Right having that impact, but they're having impact as a team overall.
Trying to find an entry. They are playing this one a little bit slower than they have done in the past. Looking to execute on towards this B site. And again, Forest over towards that A site, trying to run distraction, trying to run a little bit of a tomfoolery game. But they have left 2 players to deal with him, so looking to try and find the entry on towards the B site. Rez once more in his corner. Not getting burnt out this time, and Forest will make a little bit of noise, but no one's around to hear it. If Forest makes a step and no one's around to hear it, does it make a sound?
It's a valid question.
There we go.
Forest going to continue to silently walk through the shadows, advancing his way up towards long, but it'll be timing that proves to be his reckoning.
Speaking of shadows, it's going to be the shadow that gives him away, and Scream is going to capitalize. Happy has to jump all the way and try and make his way through the hail of bullets, but it's not going to go well. 2 kills going over to Ninjas in Pajamas as they try and go for these entries, but EnVyUs are not letting up one bit. They have one player left. Get right. He needs to get this one right, but it's not going to happen. Sixer takes it home, and that is going to be the game going over to EnVy. So taking it back to a 1-1 scoreline versus Ninjas in Pajamas.
What a game as well. I mean, I think a lot of credit has to be given to NiP for bringing it back that far. They did show some life towards the end, but for EnVy, bringing it back like that as well and actually being able to finish it off, most importantly, is going to be the biggest thing that affects them. It affects them in the standings too. Yeah,
it certainly does. Speaking of standings, we have got a couple of results for you. It looks like the Hellraisers Godsent game, which you said, 16-2.
That's devastating.
That's taken that. And
huge credit to Hellraisers overall for that.
That's big. That's big. As I said before, Hellraisers, they needed, if G2 don't take a map, and it's looking kind of that way. That
Fnatic won 16-11, so there you go.
They've just won?
16-11.
Have they?
Yep.
Really?
I have magical voices in my ears that
fair
tell
enough.
me these
He
things.
has voices, I don't.
Yeah.
Don't know what that says, but whatever. That's going to mean that G2, I'm not too sure on the maths, but that could mean that Hellraisers actually take their spot. We'd have to double check on that.
Wouldn't that be
it's all to do with round difference.
That was a super small percentage chance, but I'm definitely curious to see kind of how that planned itself out. Of course, before we dig in to this too much, I do want to look at the replays from the last game and just kind of see some of these special moments that really kind of decided this game. I mean, here is a good throwback to start off with the conversation. 5-0 for EnVy, and it continued to develop up to kind of that 7-round marker. And then we saw NiP's being able to bring it back from their side. Of course, Draken here, there was such a good attempt from him, but unable to close it out with that final kill. Scream, blisteringly quick. But Draken again, his relocation there with the AWP, so nice.
Yeah.
Talking about speed, we're going through this quite fast.
Yeah, they were going pretty quickly themselves. EnVyUs obviously started off with a very convincing start to the game, winning 7 on the trot. Ninjas able to take 8 on the trot in response. Able to just get those kills, and you saw again Draken just echoing his performance from before. Able to do just that. Sixer finds 1, finds 2, turns it on and finds a 3rd on the bomb carrier. Finally gets taken down by Rez, but as we said before, that by that time the damage was done, and the rest of EnVyUs were able to just rally around him, and he's just unbeatable on this A-bomb site.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, some really close moments. But now to hop away from that, I do want to give you a swift update. Mouse just took down Astralis 16-12. And also, another big one for me is the fact that Na'Vi and FaZe, Na'Vi and FaZe, that the game where Na'Vi were absolutely obliterating FaZe, has just gone to overtime.
Wow.
It's 15-15 starting right now.
Okay, that's very interesting because obviously at the Heroic game, I don't know if we touched on this, 16-6 to Heroic, which means that they went 2-0 in their series with a 2-point win and a 3-point win. Now that means that they're not going to be relegated. I'm almost certain on that. Don't even really need to check the standings. They're going to be out of that sort of danger zone. Meanwhile, LDLC, they have 1 point from their overtime victory, and the loss from Big means that they won't be fully relegated. But it's, you know, I'm sat here and I'm thinking LDLC could be at risk here, and it could be someone stepping up. But who would do that? It's either Godsent or Na'Vi. And if Na'Vi take the victory on the overtime,
it could happen.
You never know. They've already secured themselves 1 point. They need 2. And then I think they could actually step up and overtake.
Well, you mentioned the standings. Let's take a look at the standings either way, of course. Just as a big red warning to you guys all at home, these standings may not be accurate or up to date or totally correct in any way, shape or form, so take them as you will with a pinch of salt. But we are going to walk through them, of course, pulling them straight from the site this time just to make sure that we get as up to date as can be. Now, already I can see a few kind of discrepancies here, but looking at it very vaguely, John, give me your thoughts.
North and Fnatic sat at the top, very standard. They did actually do the little switcheroo because I believe it's to do with an overtime that happened, or was it? I'm not sure. Because it was an equal scoreline at the start of today, and now it's a 1 point difference. I'm just looking at what we've already had. Was there an overtime game from Fnatic already? Or is it Fnatic G2 that hasn't finished yet? That might be it.
Potentially, we'll have to see.
Not sure.
There's going to be a lot of question marks, folks.
Yeah, this is a question mark. Astralis and FaZe, yeah, it's still expected them to be there. And you can see the main talking point. Hellraisers sat in that 6th spot. G2 have dropped down out of that qualifying bracket.
That's painful.
That is so painful. To have that happen right at the last moment. Hellraisers, congratulate. If this is accurate, congratulations, because that is really, really good to see. I mean, you can see the difference. They just ticked over onto 14, so they would have won on score difference either way, but 41 to 39, those numbers speak to themselves. And that's Hellraisers actually being able to push that one through, which is really, really cool. Meanwhile, down at the bottom of the table, you've got Na'Vi Godsent still in that relegation zone. Big right down there. Still, taking that double loss means that they will be sat pretty glumly at the bottom. They will absolutely be relegated to the Mountain Dew League. Still, some good teams to play against in there, but they will be joined by one of the other two 12 and 13 positions. Or potentially, they'll be playing in the relegation tournament.
Yeah, and looking at those relegation teams, there's some impressive teams there. But before we get into that conversation, we'll go back to G2 for a second and just talk about them in Fnatic, because that was the game that took place tonight, of course. 16-9 and 16-11. I think for G2, that is going to create a very somber feeling for them overall, and just a very negative atmosphere. Losing to Fnatic is a game that G2 should really be able to take. And arguably, some would say quite comfortably. I think, you know, Fnatic in fairness have come on some serious form. I mean, it's evident by their performance in Pro League, just top of the spot, but it should have been much closer for me, and that's the biggest thing. I mean, 69, 16-11, it feels close, but I don't know. I guess what I'm saying is, it's just wanted to see G2 at the finals. I think they've got a lot more to show for themselves, and I think they've shown that on LAN.
Yeah,
but,
unfortunately, they just weren't able to bring it. I mean, that's the way it happens sometimes. Sometimes the person who should win doesn't necessarily.
That's the beauty of Counter-Strike, though. Anything can happen.
That's what I keep telling myself anyway.
Yeah, I mean, when you play Pogs online and you lose 16-0 every single time, John, it's just a sad day for us all, really.
Listen, it's my team. They're just rubbish.
That's what everyone says, right? I see threads all the time.
I mean, I'm part of
that.
my team.
I mean, you included are pretty bad in general, but I'm glad that you have to talk and not play, because if we had to watch him play, then, folks, that would be a very tragic experience. But nonetheless, I do want to round off the conversation today by just talking about what Pro League is all about and talking about the Grand Finals, of course. Odense, the Sparkassen Finn Arena. It's going to be absolutely an amazing experience for everyone who gets to attend. 12 of the best Counter-Strike teams in the world competing for a share of over $1 million. Do
you have a favorite team going in?
I'm not sure I have a favorite. I'm definitely looking towards the Brazilian Hearts of SK, for example, I think as well. Going to always be looking at FaZe, but Na'Vi are really going to be one for me that come to mind. I hope that we can see them kind of get there. I think, unfortunately, you know, that's probably not going to happen, but...
Well, certainly not.
It's certainly not going to happen, but
EPL.
I mean, at the end of the day, I think in general I want to see Na'Vi perform at LAN, so I think those are the three talking points that come to mind when I just think of LANs in the future. But yeah, Odense particularly, I think definitely FaZe. I think Fnatic as well. I think if you're not looking at Fnatic at Odense, then you're doing something wrong probably, considering the surprise results they've been able to put in Pro League. But it's also the inconsistency argument for Fnatic that we're definitely going to be looking at.
I definitely agree there. Yep. But moving forward, I mean, as I said, I've been a long-standing Fnatic fan, so I'm going to be rooting for them as they go on to Odense. It seems like the rosters have been locked now. So Fnatic North, FaZe, Astralis, NiP, and Hellraisers.
Interesting stuff.
Not too sure about the NA side of things. But
yeah, NA was a little bit all over the place, but I'll leave that to the guys over in North America to deal with. Folks, it's been an absolute pleasure bringing you Pro League. This is the final broadcast we get to make from the online side of things. The next time you see us sitting at this desk, it'll be live for the finals. Make sure you're there with us. If you want to get involved, win yourself some tickets. You saw it on your screen just a moment ago. You can head on over, of course, all supported by the wonderful folks at PaySafeCard. They're making your trip to Odense a reality, so do go get involved in that giveaway. Win yourself that trip. But with that said, folks, the next time we'll be seeing you is at the Sparkassen Finn Arena. It's been an absolute pleasure. Until next time.
ESL Pro League is brought to you in part by Intel, the City of Odense, GeForce GTX, Lenovo Legion, Bedway, PaySafeCard, Logitech G, Mountain Dew League, Xfinity, and ESEA.
Hey, what's good, everybody? I'm gonna be making my way out of this chair finally in December again for the ESL Pro League Finals in Denmark, Odense. You can join me, we can have a good time, we can watch the best teams in the world battle it out for the trophy.
Nose goal, looks for the other. Device! How sick!
Good luck, everybody. See you in Odense.